not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. We are just one day away from the NFL draft. And let me tell you, the quarterback controversies in the NFL draft are hot. They're heavy. The debate is huge. Get ready. In the comments section, you've got the number one pick. Who are you going to take? Because I know exactly who I would take and not take. We got to talk about that. This Madden Imaliava story in Arkansas. See, you can't just say his name normally. Imaliava is not that name where you're like, oh, it's Joe Smith. No, it's Madden Imaliava. Madden Imaliava is going to have to cough up $200K to transfer away from Arkansas. We've got to talk about that. Mel Kiper's pissing people off. We've got to talk about that. Dudes, this Shannon Sharpe story, and I know we talked about it a lot yesterday on the show. This Shannon Sharpe story got way worse today for Shannon Sharpe. And I don't even know what you do with that. I honest to God, if you're Shannon Sharpe, just write the check.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over now.
They got you.
And I don't know, I'm a little surprised by a couple of things. Maybe that's where we start today. And I know you guys are all here to get to the draft. Shout out to old Greg, who's the first one in. Marty in the afternoon, y'all two shakes killing it with Marty's killer cough drop.
Dude, bro, it's bad. Like, it's not good.
I've spent the better part of the last hour sitting here coughing.
Not
even kidding. Oh, look at that. Smash the numbers. Ferris Khan already had his comment filtered.
How do you do it, bro? Honestly, how do you do it?
The show's been on for 4 minutes. How did you get filtered already?
Did you get filtered in the pre-show? Is that what happened?
Conundrum says only one NFL QB in the NFL draft. The rest of college QBs. Okay. Like button casuals. Hello, Lopes fan Gabe. Isn't picking the best QB in the draft like picking the best roller food? Doesn't matter much if it's all trash anyway. See,
dude.
Anyway, my point is,
are
the quarterbacks in this draft trash? Is that accurate?
I mean, I think that's a little rough.
Is there an all-pro in this draft at quarterback?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
You do?
Yeah, I think the hype around all this Jalen Milroe hype, I think, is exactly that. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. I think, I think the all pro in this draft is Jaxson Dart. I think we've been on that train for a long ass time on this show. We've been on the Jaxson Dart train since he transferred to Ole Miss and Lane train from USC. And the reason I say Jaxson Dart is the highest odds, if you will, or maybe the most likely to be an all-pro at the quarterback position, is I just think his game translates really nicely to the NFL. I think he's not a guy that, has to stylistically, like again, with Jalen Milroe, Jalen's going to have to learn Jalen can barely throw at the college level, let alone throw at the NFL level. And that could be, that's not just an arm strength conversation. That's a mentalist conversation, reading the defense. I just feel like Jaxson Dart has the tools he needs to it's
already there.
It's basically there. You just need to tune those skills up more to get him to where you need him to be. And again,
do you knock him for playing at Ole Miss?
No, why would we knock him for that?
System quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, Lane's system pretty much is throw it on first, second, and third down, and then when you're in third and short, throw it again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. And I exaggerate.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't been knocking him for that. I mean, I think that you played in the SEC, you played the best talent in the country, you looked good doing it. Like, I mean, yeah, you lost games for sure, but you're losing at that point. You're losing to the best teams in the country. Like, I think that we can say, yeah, like maybe there's some credence to, yeah, he probably wins those games if he's playing another conference or playing different opposition.
Yeah, Brandon Butler. The problem is, I see it, is that the QBs are projects. None are leading their team. None are leading a team ready.
Well, I think that's interesting. I mean, I think there's a lot that goes into being lead a team ready.
I think Shedeur's ready to step in and start. I do. He's mentally ready. He prepares already like he's in the NFL, and he's accurate as hell. The guy is, I mean, you don't accidentally complete 74% of your passes.
Yeah.
Not in a league with some pretty good defenses. And I look at Kiper's ratings today. I don't know how many of you saw it on 3. I tweeted it, so make sure you find me on the old tweet machine. But Mel Kiper, I thought, did a very interesting thing when he put out his final 150 big board, is what it's called. And you start looking at his top players, and then you start looking at the position rankings that he has. And I think it's very interesting if you look at, and let's just say for quarterbacks, let's say the top 10, because this is going to shock some people. Who do you think he has rated higher? Do you think that he has Quinn Ewers or Riley Leonard rated higher?
Well, if I had to guess, Quinn Ewers. I mean, that makes too much sense.
No, it's not Quinn Ewers. He has moved Riley Leonard ahead of Quinn Ewers, which is crazy to me. This is Mel Kiper's ranking of quarterbacks. Shedeur number 1 by a lot. Cam Ward, Jaxson Dart, Tyler Shook, Jalen Milroe, Kyle McCord, Will Howard. So you've got Kyle McCord in another bit of fate. You've got Kyle McCord ahead of Will Howard. Dylan Gabriel, Riley Leonard, Quinn Ewers 10. How much of this list do you agree with? If you were putting this together, how would you change it?
I mean, I agree with Shedeur at 1. I would have Dart at 2. I certainly would not have Shook at 4. I could tell you that.
So that's too high or too low?
I think that's too high. I think, Shook and Kyle McCord, I think should be further down this list. I think Will Howard should be at 4. I would have Quinn Ewers at 5. Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's left-handed. Am I remembering that correctly?
Correct.
Right? Yeah, left-handed quarterback.
So he gets downgraded.
I'm going to knock him for that. Left-handed quarterback success is pretty rare. I mean, Tua is really the only
because
guy.
You have to change your offensive line, and you have to change. Excuse my cough. You have to change the route combinations based on where they start.
Right. So
because he's left-handed.
Looking at this list, I agree with your assessment of Shedeur. I like a lot of people knock Shedeur for, being a little bit smaller of a guy, but I think he far makes up for that with the mentals, how he plays the game. So like I have Shedeur 1. I would have Jaxson Dart number 2. Then I'd probably have Will Howard. Then I would probably have Quinn Ewers at that point. Then I'd probably have either, obviously Cam Ward's got to be there, but I think, I don't know. It's kind of a mix, like the Dylan Gabriel, Riley Leonard.
Why are you hemming and you weren't hemming and hawing on this in the pre-show meeting?
Well, I hadn't seen this list in the pre-show meeting. The question we talked about in the pre-show meeting was who I would take number 1. And
no, but you were absolutely knee padding Jaxson Dart in the pre-show meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
knee padding.
Yeah, knee padding.
I would be Shedeur 1, Jaxson Dart 2. I would have Quinn Ewers number 3. I would have Cam 4. I would have Will Howard 5, Dylan Gabriel 6th, and then I don't care who else you put on top.
Yeah, see, I agree. I think Shedeur and Jaxson Dart are your top 2.
I think Jaxson Dart is the closest to Shedeur Sanders. I'm again somebody who also, and I want to make this clear because I think I'm probably the idiot in the room for thinking this way. I draft quarterbacks and I pay quarterbacks to win Super Bowls.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Right? I think So as I look at this list, Shedeur and Jaxson Dart are the two closest to winning a Super Bowl. And then I think it's Quinn Ewers. Then I think it's Cam.
Why do you feel like Quinn's ahead of Cam?
Because Quinn Ewers can throw the football. And the only thing that I worry about with Quinn Ewers is he likes to take big hits.
Yeah.
I don't like
and
how
he's seen those injuries play out.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like if he had not missed a single college game, he would be far and away the third best quarterback in this draft.
Okay. I think that's really fair.
And I think he might be number 2. Yeah. Because as far as like forget the injuries, Quinn Ewers has every tool that you want. Yeah. Like there's no question that Quinn Ewers is built to play in the National Football League. But I think the injuries spooked me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've seen enough QBs come out of NFL drafts. There are no QBs in this draft that are a home run. But how many home runs did we have? Nobody even knew who Tom Brady was, really.
Right.
Peyton Manning, home run. John Elway, home run. Like if we go back in time, Dan Marino, home run, didn't win a Super Bowl. So if we go back through time and even in the modern era, nobody saw Patrick Mahomes this way.
Yeah. Nobody saw him as the best QB in the league.
You didn't certainly believe that Patrick Mahomes was going to be the end all be all.
Well, and nobody thought Aaron Rodgers would be the end all be all. I don't think anyone thought that
Alex Smith, Aaron Rodgers, remember that whole thing?
I don't think anyone saw that come in. I don't think
Joe Montana, certainly not.
Joe Montana, certainly not. I think you look around and I think that there are numerous examples of guys who, are downgraded, drafted, deep in the draft, low in the draft, second, third round guys who, people are taking flyers on in a sense. And it's the old saying, right? I mean, obviously, if you draft a guy in the second or third round, that guy understands that he's got to be motivated and has to make up ground.
Certainly.
I mean, that's the reality of the situation. So
certainly,
to me, the real question is like, how do you find that balance? Because the inevitable, could have told you this was going to happen 6 months ago storyline of Shedeur falling in the draft is now here and taking place. And everyone, his line in Vegas went from it over under being selected at 8 to over under being selected at 21.5, because obviously the Steelers are sitting there and there's of course all that smoke with them. So I sit here and I say, okay, when you talk about home runs in the draft with quarterbacks, when you talk about hitting a home run, we got to talk about expectations based on where we draft you.
Right. And so I think in the modern, but is there a recent draft you can think of that was Elway, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino? What was that? 1985? Not that I can think of. Was there a 2004? Remember that draft with your boy who you seemingly, I think, again, to use your term, knee pad, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, and Phil Rivers. That was 2004. But other than that, like you look at 2005 with Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith, is it Ryan Fitzpatrick, Matt Castle, Kyle Orr. Those aren't great quarterback classes. I don't know, and I could be wrong. I don't believe in the last decade, and it might be 20 years. I don't know that we've had a great quarterback class. And I think it's because the quarterback game and the way that the position is played has changed so much. We're throwing the ball down the boundary constantly now. Mm-hmm. We're not handing it off. We're not pitching it as much. The counter run has been replaced by a zone running scheme. The gap scheme is dead. Right? So the way that we go about playing the position, and remember, we went from pure pocket passer, I can't throw, I'm going to run, hybrid, I can throw and I can run. And I think now we're starting to move back to, hey, you better be able to throw the football to win in this league.
Yeah.
And I think maybe, Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis scares some people. RG3 certainly, as we've talked about all month on this show with his plethora of injuries.
Yep.
I think that's the thing. And I look at the younger QBs in this league. I don't know. Do you all consider Patrick Mahomes still to be young? Probably not. He's in his prime.
Well, I think he's in his prime, but he's definitely a younger QB. He's not in his 30s. I think he's not this, we're not talking about Pat, playing 5 more years. He's still got probably 10 years in the league at least. I mean, he's still got a long time. So, I mean, I when you say a young
29,
guy,
he's 29. You're right.
I mean, when you say a young guy, that would mean like, oh, he's like 24. Well, yeah, I mean, he's still young, but he's not inexperienced. He's a veteran. And I think, that's the right way to say it. He's in his prime.
He's just come into his prime, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, when I look at these quarterbacks, man, what I want as an organization is I want to evaluate my ability to move up in the draft, because in this particular draft, there is all kinds of noise and communication happening about people wanting to trade out of their spots, right? This is not like other drafts where it's been very quiet and the first 10 picks are basically on autopilot.
Right. Yeah.
So this draft to me is an opportunity, and this is what I'm going to be watching for tomorrow. What playoff team tomorrow is going to trade up in the draft and sacrifice some of their future to get their next QB in the pipeline? Because I think that's been a conversation happening in the league over the last 3-4 seasons.
Yeah.
And the Aaron Rodgers saga is not helping this, but it's pushing it forward. Hey, we don't have a QB. We're the New York Giants. We're the Steelers. We're this, we're that. We don't have a QB. At what point do we draft QB? Or at what point do we sign a guy and then draft and have him sit behind? That's what I feel like is going to define the first 10 picks in this draft. Who moves up and who wants to go about it that way?
Okay, if you are, let's play the game. Get in the comments section. You are the Tennessee Titans. Who are you drafting? Because I think this is a really fascinating question. And I think it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself, if you're the Titans, what's the right move? And I think there's only one right move, and that is not to draft anybody, trade that pick. If you can get multiple picks in the top 10, and maybe it's top 15, I'm open to that. I think you've still got to get a quarterback.
Right.
I think you still have to get much better defensively, though. I mean,
there's a lot you need. That's the reality of the situation. And I think, again, as I keep saying, it's philosophical, and that's why this conversation is so great. For me, philosophically speaking, in today's modern NFL, I think your team begins and ends with whether you have franchise quarterback or not. You can have a great defense, you can have great skill positions, but if you don't have a quarterback to lead the team forward and to be that rock on that side of the ball, you typically are not going to go to the playoffs, or you're going to have a tough time getting to the playoffs. You're definitely not a Super Bowl contender. So to me, I look at it and I say, okay, if I'm the Titans, yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of credence to looking at what could we get by trading out. Of course, you have the number 1 overall pick. You could leverage a team into giving you multiple picks for that pick, depending on their situation. So I think that's always an option you have to look at. But if it was me, I would go ahead and draft a quarterback, and I would take Shedeur. I would take Shedeur number 1 overall. I would put the quarterback position to bed for my organization. And then from there, and I don't know off the top of my head what else the Titans in this case have through the rest of the draft, but from there, then I would probably look at trying to trade back up into the draft, maybe, or what other
the Titans have the number 1 pick. They have the 3rd pick in the 2nd round, the 1st pick in the 4th, the 18th in the 4th, and then you're 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th.
So you have a lot of picks in this draft.
You do, excuse me. You do, but you don't have multiples in the 1st or 2nd round. And I think if obviously I think the Raiders and Saints, the Giants.
Yeah.
If you're able to flip the Giants and you can say to yourself, okay, you give me your 3rd pick plus your 2nd pick at number 2 in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
I'll give you the number 1 overall pick. And I'll throw you a 5th rounder.
So you wouldn't be looking for a player in that deal.
No, I want multiple picks because you're really crappy.
Yeah.
Tennessee's not good.
Yeah.
And so my point is, if you're Tennessee and you can get, again, the Giants, because they're at the top of the 2nd round as well. But the Raiders wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If you can get the Raiders to give you the 6th pick and the 5th pick of the 2nd round for your number 1 overall, are you really saying no to that? Because if you get the 6th, you're probably getting Jaxson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a shot at Shedeur, right? And then you have a really good depth of defensive talent available to you with multiple picks at the top of the second round.
Yeah.
And
certainly.
that's why if I look at Tennessee, if Tennessee, and let's say it's the Raiders, right?
All right.
Tennessee would have the 6th pick, the 2nd pick of the the 3rd pick of the second round, and the 5th pick of the second round.
Yeah.
You just turned one player into 3 players.
Inside what, the top 40
inside
picks
inside the top 35 picks.
Yeah.
That to me makes a hell of a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. See, and this is what I mean. Like, I completely agree. I agree that makes a ton of sense. And you're a bad team that needs to add as much talent as you can. So if you can do that while also maybe, and again, in that scenario, obviously it wouldn't be, Shedeur at that point because the Raiders would be trading up to get him, let's say, or whatever. Yep. But like, if you can do that and one of those extra picks that you pick up, you can then turn into a QB, then great. That's awesome. I'm totally down with that plan. But what you can't do if you're a team like the Titans, and again, we've talked about this every year in the draft. If you're that team drafted number 1 overall, you're really bad. Like,
yeah,
you are awful.
God, and they are, right? I think we
terrible.
all agree. Like, Tennessee's not good.
So if you're in that position, you need to get to a place where yes, you add talent, but I'm telling you, if you can reliably end the question of who's playing quarterback for us, and then you can move on to, all right, let's add one receiver and then work on the defense this year. Or like if you look at the Bears, hey, we're going to draft Caleb. We're going to add we're going to give him some people to throw to, some players to throw to, but we're going to take a hit on the offensive line.
Yeah.
But then next year in this year's draft, we're going to work on okay, great. I'm perfectly down with that plan. Now, Caleb got his ass beat. He still had a great season. Like, your boy paid the price, but you're working the plan. So my biggest thing in the draft, generally speaking, and for a team like the Titans, would be understand the vision. It's the old saying of you got to know where you are and where you're going, right? And you got to know where you're coming from. You're coming from one of the worst seasons in franchise history. You're one of the worst teams in the NFL. And you got to know what your route is. What is the build of this football team going to be? And I do agree with everyone saying that modern NFL, kind of what you were alluding to is like, hey, you got to be able to throw it down the boundary. You got to be able to complete passes at 68% plus, at kind of a minimum. Yep. That's kind of the new bar. And then from there, the world's kind of your oyster as far as, do you want to be, defensive minded? Do you want to put more money on the offense? Like, that's the trouble. So the other thing with the draft out or trade out of the number 1 pick thing that concerns me is seemingly every year there's a team that trades down and messes it up, right? There's a team that trades out of their spot
or misses on quarterback.
I
mean, and right now, I think the guy that's under a lot of pressure right now is J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota, because I think last year's draft was actually, if you look at the draft from last year, and I don't want to make any outlandish statements, regrade the draft. Caleb Williams, certainly a franchise quarterback in Chicago.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels.
Certainly.
Right? They both have identical numbers. Drake May in New England.
Yeah, I think he's a franchise guy. Yeah. Not as good of a situation as those two.
But he's got to prove it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Marvin Harrison with Arizona.
Bust.
You think he's a bust?
Oh, yeah. I think he's a bust. Yeah. I think that I think that he had so much hype around him. Like, he's solid, but I don't think that he's Hall of Famer, generational talent. Like
8 touchdowns, 885 yards on 62 receptions. Maybe not 4th in the draft numbers.
Yeah. But again,
Man,
in Arizona. So
Joe Alt with the Chargers, stud.
Stud.
Malik Neighbors, stud. J.C. Latham, Tennessee, stud.
Yeah.
Big Penix Energy in Atlanta.
Unknown.
But that quarterback position's a mess. Right, so you start, even if you just look, Roma Dunze, I think 9th. You need
great
more
value
from him. Really?
I think he's great value. I think it's his first year in the offense. I think it's their first year playing together. I mean, I agree that
54
he was a work in
catches. Well, you know what? I look at it and you're not wrong. 54 catches, 734 yards, but only 3 touchdowns. And I think a lot of that was that offensive.
What did you
line.
say Marvin Harrison had? 800. So, I mean, that's really not that.
Yeah. But if we start looking at quarterback, J.J. McCarthy never gave you anything in Minnesota. That's scary. Bo Nix is, I don't know, is Bo Nix a stud?
Yeah. Stud.
Okay.
Yep.
Bo Nix is a stud. Those quarterbacks is Shedeur Sanders better than any of those quarterbacks? I think he's clearly better than JJ McCarthy. I don't think there's any doubt about that. At least what we've seen out of JJ so far.
I think at a minimum he's as good as Bo Nix. As good, if not better.
Michael Penix.
Don't know. He didn't play.
Drake May.
Better than Drake May.
Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams.
That's where I think we have questions. I can't definitively say he's better than those guys.
We'll see.
Because I think, and this is the hill you've been dying on with Caleb Williams, right? Like Jaden Daniels had such a better situation to work with, and he looked amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, Caleb Williams made the best of, by pretty much everyone's standard, a mediocre situation that he had to work with. And so, if you ask me, hey, well, what is Shedeur's rookie season going to look like? Well, I'm inclined to say he's going to have probably 3,500 yards, as kind of a baseline. And it really depends on where he goes. Now, again, and again, huge caveat here, right? If he goes to Pittsburgh, we're not going to know. Unless Aaron gets hurt, right? I'm just assuming Rodgers is going to play there.
Did you guys see Mel Kiper's mock Peter Schrager's mock at ESPN has Pittsburgh at 21 taking Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, a lot of people think he's going to fall to them.
Last year, Jaden Daniels was 12-5, won 2 playoff games, completed 69% of his passes, 3,568 yards. 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So 3,568, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Yeah.
The bust known as Caleb Williams, 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Sacked 68 times. I thought you said he was sacked 68 times. They have identical numbers.
Yeah, it's really rough.
And Caleb was sacked 68 times.
So that's my point. Like when we talk about what should the Titans do, or what would you do if you were the Titans?
I'd turn 1 pick into 3.
And I think I'd draft a quarterback. I would.
And Shedeur, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I would go Shedeur. Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're not a fan of Shedeur, then I would go Jaxson Dart.
Delaric says Harrison is a bust for the position he went. He played more like a pick 22, 32 spot. I would agree with that. T. Lawrence. What's up, T. Lawrence? First pick, I'm taking Cam Ward. You're a Cam Ward guy.
Yeah, see, and I think that's the other portion of this draft, dude. I think that the optics around like what you're willing to put up with these guys. So like Cam Ward's a bigger quarterback that theoretically should stay healthier in the league, but is going to take more risk in terms of how he throws the football.
And
right?
can afford to.
Right. So I wouldn't take Cam only because I would prefer with my quarterback that I'm taking in the top 5, if that's where I'm going to draft, I would prefer to get a guy who has shown me at the college level that mentally he knows what the defense is doing. He knows where the ball should go given the scheme, because I'm a massive believer in that. I'm a massive believer in, hey, I'm standing under center in the gun. I'm looking at the defense. I know what their scheme is. I know what our scheme is. What's the correct answer, right? Like multiple choice test. Hey, where should the ball go here? And I'm even an even bigger fan, obviously, and this is what I think the elite quarterbacks do in college, of, hey, I know the defense scheme. I know my scheme. I know currently where the ball should go, but I also know where the weak point of the defense is if I audible. And if you see those type of behaviors in college, that's the guy I want, even if he's smaller. And for those reasons alone, that's why I like Shedeur, because I think you can take that ability. You can really stretch that ability in the league. And if you just simply protect him and he's not an idiot running around and putting his body on the line, then he's going to be just fine. And for me, that's why I would take Shedeur over Cam, even though Cam's got the physical attributes that any organization would want in a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm just going back and looking at some of the number 1 overall picks in the draft recently. Trevor Lawrence. Is Trevor Lawrence a bust?
Who?
5 head.
Thank you.
God's quarterback. Is
God's quarterback.
Well, Dabo says that program was built on name, image, and Jesus' name, image, and likeness.
God's name, image, and likeness.
I think he's close.
Program
63% completions on 2,000 attempts, and you're 69 and 46 touchdown to pick.
I think, just in fairness to Buddy, though, there is been a lot of turnover.
Only played 10 games last year.
Only played 10 games.
Zach
due
Wilson.
To Azeez Al-Shaair. Zach Wilson, what was he, number 1 overall?
Number 2.
Number 2 overall?
Trey Lance.
Nah, that's a bust. Yeah, Trey Lance is a bust.
Have you guys want to talk about busts? Here's the 2021 top 10. Trevor Lawrence, bust. Zach Wilson, bust. Trey Lance, bust. Kyle Pitts, bust. Jamar Chase, bust.
Chase isn't.
I'm kidding. Stud. Jalen Waddle, stud. Penei Sewell, stud. J.C. Horn, good. Patrick Surtain, good. Devontae Smith,
stud.
Justin Fields, bust. That's the top 11. That is the top 11. See,
that's what I mean, dude.
That is ugly. And if we go, if you even go, look at, does anybody remember who the number 1 pick in 2023 was?
No.
Probably the best number 1 pick of the last 5 years. Or 2022. 2022, because 2023 was the Bryce Young year. Let's be careful. We're not doing Bryce Young. CJ Stroud.
Stud.
You think he's a stud?
Oh, yeah.
He was number 2 in that draft.
Stud. Yeah.
If you look at the 2022 NFL draft, it's Trayvon Walker. That's a stud.
Yeah.
That guy's 21 sacks, 24 sacks total career. Stud. Aiden Hutchinson, stud. Darryl Stingley, stud. Sauce Gardner, stud. Kayvon Thibodeau, stud. You want to talk about studs everywhere. I mean, Kyle Hamilton.
But look how light the quarterbacks are in that draft.
Well,
it's all.
Well, yeah. I mean, who's the highest pick quarterback that year? Kenny Pickett, bust. That's a bad quarterback.
Where did they pick him at? What?
The Steelers picked him 20th in the first round. Jesus. I mean, you look at that top 5.
That's rough.
Trayvon, Aiden Hutchinson, Darryl Stingley, Sauce Gardner, and Kayvon Thibodeau, studs.
Yeah, dude.
Not quarterbacks. So I throw that out there to say, maybe you're right. First pick, I'm taking Cam. Okay.
But
maybe.
How much value? How much value do you put on having a franchise quarterback? Risk versus reward, because you're not looking at these drafts. Cam Ward should hit. I would be a little surprised if he was a bust.
But wouldn't you rather? That's interesting.
You know what I mean?
Wouldn't you rather buy a quarterback than draft a quarterback?
I mean, probably, yeah.
But how many Joe Burrows are ever on the market? How many? That's the problem.
You're pigeonholed into Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I look at 2022, that's obviously the outlier, right? Where the top rated quarterback was 20th, or first selected quarterback was 20th. But I mean, you go back to that 2021 draft, and I mean, I think either your best player is probably Jamar Chase in that draft.
Yeah.
Right now, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, all 3 of them bust. Kyle Pitts a bust.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is
and we shouldn't say Kyle Pitts is a bust. He wasn't the generational game-changing tight end everybody thought he would be. Not a bust. I don't want to overstate that. Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the modern era.
Yeah.
Right? So Jalen Waddle, Penei Sewell's a very good player. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this works out. Ferris, you're back, Ferris. What did you say to get filtered? In this draft, I would wait and pick up Ewers later in the draft. Could be. Sean Mierzinski, hello, my friend. First pick should be Cam Ward. Will be. I don't think it should be. I would take Shedeur over Cam Ward. No, I almost have no doubt about that. That's just me. Mike Smith, Mountain Mama. Harrison would be much better on a better team, probably. But how long are Arizona Cardinals going to say they're not a good team? I mean, you have legitimate talent there.
Because it's garbage.
But what are you missing, in my opinion? A quarterback who can see over the offensive line and is allowed to drive legally. Okay, that probably is.
Got him.
Probably too much. Mike Smith, 2020, Joe Burrow, Herbert, Tua, and Love. I love Justin Herbert. That's a situational problem. Tua Tagovailoa it just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love's not a franchise quarterback.
Well, ask Green Bay what they think about that.
Well, they paid him, but what choice did you have?
Yeah.
I think Joe Burrow is the only cemented guy there. I want to see Justin Herbert outside of the LA Chargers ecosystem.
Yeah.
I want to see him outside of that and see what that looks like.
Don't know if you ever will, though.
Big Papa War Machine. Cam Ward is a trap, I feel like. Not like next draft is looking any better, though. I'm going Shedeur. There's not a great quarterback. I don't know. Is Arch going to be a great NFL quarterback? I don't know. It might be nice to see him in college. And he's number 2 in the Heisman odds right now. Let the guy start for a season first, right? Stepanek says Tennessee should take Sanders. Delaric says Titans trade, if not, take Ward because I believe he has higher upside than Shedeur. But right now, Shedeur is going to be better now. I don't disagree. That could absolutely be.
Yeah.
That could absolutely be that Cam Ward's upside is higher. But when has Tennessee developed a quarterback?
Great question.
Because Will Levis had hype. Marcus Mariota, bust.
Yep.
When's the last time they drafted Ryan Tannehill? What was Ryan Tannehill?
Get me over.
But he wasn't a bad quarterback, right?
No, he just wasn't great. He was a get me over. He was an average, And
they didn't draft him.
He didn't lose you games, but he also didn't win you games.
Yeah. Yeah. Stepanek says, I wonder if Kansas City will get a good draft pick from the Buffalo Bills again. Well, I think, did you guys hear what Patrick Mahomes said today? That they're ready to unleash the passing game. Because obviously Brown and Rice were hurt last year.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Worthy, I think he emerged, right? He by the end of the year, he was actually a solid route runner. But is Andy Reid going to throw the ball all over the field? That'll be interesting. That will be interesting to see. Damon Bolden, 1983 NFL draft is notable for having 6 quarterbacks selected in the first round. Elway, Blackledge, Kelly, Tony Eason, Ken O'Brien, and Dan Marino. Wild. How many quarterback trophies are there? More lost than one. Monty's draft plan, the synopsis of the movie Draft Day. Turning 1 pick into 3 impactful players. Yeah, could be. Nobody's trading for this year's number 1 pick. Too much to give up for too little return. Always depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
There's a sucker born every day, right? Truly. Jaron Eccles, to his defense, Marvin Harrison has a toddler throwing him the ball. Listen.
Dude, he works out with linebackers. I mean, give the guy some credit, dude.
Listen, and come on, you guys, to talk about Kyler Murray like that, I think you guys take for granted how hard he works.
Pick it up.
Look at him lifting weights. Is it nice of you guys to come in here and insult him and make fun of his size? Look at how hard he's working here in the weight room.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone is as physically gifted as Shannon. We all got to lift some weights and do some things.
It's way too early to be making Shannon Sharpe jokes.
What?
And listen, you can see right there that Kyler's choking. So it's one of...
Do you even lift? All right, bro. Have a nice day. Didn't mean nothing by it.
We're making fun of Kyler and chastising Jaron for it. It's not his fault his legs never grew. Okay. Jerry's not trading up in this draft. He'll stay put or trade down, not up. That's interesting. That's interesting because I think the Cowboys are one of those. Oh, yeah, Mike Smith. 1989 draft, 4 out of the first 5 picks are Hall of Famers. Absolutely. TJ Beck. Herbert will end up like Fouts. Very similar trajectory. Sadly, no Super Bowl wins. Got to be the system at the Chargers. I'm telling you. And you have a guy with all the talent in the world. And I think you're going to waste him.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. I think you're going to waste him. I don't know how long he'll be healthy because that dude takes absolute beatings.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a legitimate thing that he takes a beating. And I'll be very curious to see how he ends up. But see, this is what's great about the draft. It brings these conversations to light that we don't always get to have. You know, Noel Ramirez, Kyler after his afternoon nap turns into prime Tom Brady. After his afternoon nap, you give him some cookies and a little hot milk, Nilla wafers and some milk. Do you guys see the FDA is no longer going to be testing milk?
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, you give Kyler some raw milk and some Nilla wafers. That kid's going to sleep for the rest of his life. It's called death.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true. I forgot about Arch, which is surprising because my surroundings are infested with Texas fans. Hey, did you hear Texas is back?
Well,
you know, no. Mikkel Schwinger says it's about time for the unk jokes.
Juicy.
Did you guys? I kid you not. Did you guys hear?
Dude. First of all, I don't know what's worse.
Wait, I got to change the graphic. Okay, now you can go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse in this situation. Tony striking again or Screaming A going out of his way to defend Buddy. Like, what are we doing, man?
I don't know, but this is a little bizarre now. Shannon Sharpe's in real trouble. We told you yesterday. A young 20s OnlyFans performer is being represented by super attorney Tony Busby. He of the washcloth scandal. Tony Busby is representing this young lady who claims to have been sexually assaulted by Shannon Sharpe. Part of the evidence that proves this alleged sexual assault is an audio recording we played on the show yesterday where Shannon Sharpe allegedly, because, hey, maybe it's doctored, who knows, Shannon Sharpe allegedly threatened to choke this woman next time he saw her. And a new tape has been released by this OnlyFans performer. And I'm going to play you Shannon Sharpe's statement first because I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
Here's what Shannon Sharpe said yesterday about this whole case.
This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly, on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
Shannon Sharpe. Now, I don't know how long we can keep this belief, if you have it, that Shannon is innocent. Because now you hear this tape that was released today. And this is, again, I want to make this clear. This is from the accuser and Tony Busby, her lawyer. This is allegedly a recording of a phone conversation between the OnlyFans performer and Shannon Sharpe, where allegedly Shannon Sharpe threatens to choke this woman. And this time he says he's going to do it in public.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you do with the shit you did to me.
Okay, well...
Dude, that's allegedly Shannon Sharpe. And I say allegedly because he says it's all a big setup. And he's never said that this isn't his voice. He claims he's suing her for defamation, all of it. How long can Shannon Sharpe hang on to this? First of all, excuse me. First of all, how awkward is the silence on that call?
Very awkward.
I mean, and then she says, I don't want to be choked, so I guess we'll go out. And your answer to that is allegedly, well, I'll choke you in public. I mean, I just don't know how much longer he can hang on. Like, this sounds really, really bad.
Yeah, really bad.
And the problem is the whole conversation is so damn monotone, you can't read into it at all. I have no idea. And again, there are text messages out there that we've chosen not to show here because they are really graphic. But there are text messages out there where this woman says that he wants her to put a dog collar. Allegedly, she says, I want you to put a dog collar on me and you know,
yeah,
like she talks about being choked in these text messages. And now here he is. She says, well, I really don't want to be choked, so I guess I'll go out. And he says, well, I'll choke you in public. Big black man chokes small white woman. That's really, to me, that's really damning evidence. And if Shannon Sharpe truly is innocent of that, and he didn't say that, why doesn't he come out and say that's not me talking, that's AI, or that's a fake doctored tape? Because he has not said that. He has said release the entirety of the tape, and now they're releasing more of it. But he's never said, I didn't say those things. I didn't do those things. This is all. And that's why I wanted to play his statement before. And again, I'm going to play it again because I want you to hear it. Now you've heard his tape where he says that. How believable is this?
This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
I don't know. In my opinion, it's just not believable. It's really tough knowing Tony Busby's track record for being a dog, knowing that Shannon Sharpe was 54 allegedly and this woman was 20. And one of the things that I continue to go back to here, and we kind of talked about this in our planning of this show, but one of the things that really stands out to me is this is not a guy who makes good choices, in my opinion.
Right.
You're 54, you're a 100 millionaire who is on the verge of signing $100 million podcast deal, hey, they don't hand those out like cough drops. They're not, they're really hard to get. You're a Hall of Fame football player. You're a good-looking dude who could probably have any woman he wants. So again, I ask if it is true, in fact, you picked this woman up at a public gym. You continued to date her when you found out she was 20. That right there, when you're a 54-year-old multimillionaire and you're dating a 20-year-old you picked up at a public gym, that's probably a bad decision.
Yep.
Then she's an OnlyFans performer. Did you not know that? Is that not like an illustration of really bad judgment? And then she's sending you allegedly graphic text messages asking you to do horrible things. Well, asking you to perform graphic sex acts. And you're doing it anyway. And then all of a sudden your phone rings and it's Tony Busby. And she's got you on audio recording. Did you not know? Did you know you were being recorded? Did you not know you were being recorded? Like, the choices here from Shannon Sharpe. And then, when you're like trying to compare yourself to Jay-Z, you're trying to compare yourself to the Diddy situation. Wouldn't that be the last thing did you sexually assault this woman? Well, her lawyer is suing people involved with the Diddy case. What? Dude, like, your choices are coming back to haunt you here.
Yes.
And I struggle with this. And maybe I'm just being too hard on him. You're 54, she's 20, man.
What's there to talk about? Like,
you're 54 years old, allegedly, when you meet this girl and she's 20 and an OnlyFans performer. How is this supposed to end in your favor? Great sex? Okay, well, how long does great sex carry a relationship?
And you can't find...
Come on.
And you can't find someone to do those things with that's not 20 and doing OnlyFans? Like, come on, dude.
Again, I want you to understand something. I'm not saying this woman is blameless. I'm not even saying she's innocent. You're allegedly 54 years old when you meet her, and she's allegedly 20. She's an OnlyFans performer. You're a 54-year-old NFL legend who's a Pro Football Hall of Famer and worth more than $100 million. How did you think this was going to end, dude?
Yeah. The reality is you had to open the door for this to happen, and you did.
And I go back to all of these guys: Tiger Woods, O.J. Simpson, Bill Clinton. You pick your famous, powerful dude. They all fell. And why did they fall? Because they think they're bulletproof. Barry Bonds had no idea steroids would be a problem. And then Tony Conti showed up. And that, you just start hearing O.J. Simpson stories. Maybe perhaps the most horrendous domestic assault kind of case we've ever seen outside of Ray Caruth.
Yeah.
That went on for years. This has been going on for years, allegedly. She's not innocent. Is she a victim? I don't know. But here's what I know. Shannon Sharpe made a whole lot of really fucking stupid decisions. I mean, really bad decisions. Trevor Bauer level bad decisions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're an LA Dodger and you're smashing with a San Diego Padre fan. I'm going to say, and I don't care if she is the nicest woman anybody's ever met. You play for the Dodgers. She spends money to help the Padres win. I would not I'm not plugging my cable into that outlet.
No.
I'm not doing it.
Nope.
And Shannon, you don't know me and I don't know you. Scratch a check. End it. You're not winning. And it doesn't matter if you win in court. Trevor Bauer won in court. How's that working out? He's in Korea or wherever he is, Japan. How's that working out? Shannon, those $100 million podcast deals, yeah, those are already gone now, my friend. Scratch a check and move on with your life and make better choices.
And learn from this.
And then This is crazy to me right here. And I want to go back to the conversations we've had in recent days on Stephen A. Smith. How many times in the last 6 weeks, 10 weeks, have we talked about this guy being a glory hound?
10, 12 times at least.
The Shaq situation alone, the contract situation, sitting courtside at a Laker game, all of this stuff. Would you find it hard to believe that he made a statement and spoke on behalf of Jimmy Pitaro, the boss at ESPN, and I believe the co-chair at Disney? So you're the highest paid guy at ESPN, allegedly, and you thought the right thing to do was to come out and you guys tell me, here's 90 seconds of what I believe is Stephen A. Smith defending Shannon Sharpe.
I spoke to Shannon, not in details, but I spoke to him, and he emphatically proclaims his innocence. According to Mr. Busby, his client emphatically proclaims his guilt. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on. I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously, and we are looking into this very, very closely. And once we gather as many facts as we possibly can, we will go from there. In my perfect world, this equates to Jay-Z, where the case ultimately dropped and Shannon is allowed to continue on First Take and continue to thrive and shine. And not just that, and have an illustrious career in the podcast stratosphere, doing Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco, doing Club Shay Shay, and ultimately gets this $100 million deal that he was all over the news about to sign just a couple of days before this report came out.
Okay, but whose fault is all this? This is Shannon Sharpe's fault.
Yeah, that's the incredible thing.
What is
Stephen A. makes it out like Shannon's a victim. And
what are we doing on ESPN owned by Disney defending Shannon Sharpe? And granted, this is on Stephen A.'s own channel. I totally get that. Wherever he speaks, it's a Disney product.
Yeah.
And we're saying, oh, poor Shannon, he was so close. Right up until he allegedly choked this woman.
Well, no, right up until he allegedly met her at a gym and looked right past the fact that she was, half his age.
I can't even, I don't even.
Because that's where it all starts, right? I mean, we never know how deep anything is. The depths of the despair are never, you can never really measure them from the beginning, of course. But that first decision, because you guys know how it is as a dude, right? When you're walking around in life and, you're trying to figure out who you want to talk to and who you don't, like, what's your first question? If it's even questionable, you shouldn't be talking to her. If it's even like as a 30-something, I would never even consider talking to even a young 20-something. Like, it's just not, you're in a different place. So the idea that Shannon was like, oh, yeah, no problem. We're going to look right past that. And let's go make some videos together. And what are you doing? Like, you're an idiot, dude, with all due respect. That's silly. That's rough. It doesn't take $100 million in your bank account to understand that you not only did you like crack the door open, you like opened that door and slammed it open and put a doorstop in front of it for her to walk through.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for Shannon Sharpe. I don't know what Stephen A. Smith is thinking here. It's wild to me that Stephen A. Smith can't see that you just need to let this play out. And, like trying to take credit for bringing Shannon Sharpe to ESPN. And but are we really
Well, this is where
painting him as a victim. I mean, come on.
Right. I mean, isn't this what Stephen A does? Isn't this the type of content Stephen A wants to be doing? He wants to be right in the middle of all this drama.
You cannot. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you surprised Stephen A came out and defended him? If you're Shannon Sharpe, what are you doing right now? I'm probably cutting a check and moving on.
Yeah.
Because I just don't believe you're ever getting away from this. I really don't. It's just,
yeah,
it's unbelievable that you're making these mistakes. You know, like it's crazy. Johnny, Monty, nasty cough you got there. Here, have $100 million deal, right? Like, and this cough I'm battling, I'm about done with it. This is the end of, for those of you who don't know, I've been battling pneumonia for about 10 days, almost 2 weeks now. And I'm finally over it. I was really sick last week. I'm fine now. I'm totally normal, except I can't get rid of this occasional cough. I spent the hour before the show coughing my guts up. Yeah. Like, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Good to see you. Like cough drops, he says, recovering from pneumonia. Bad decision for sure. 20, still a kid, and the 54-year-old should be making better decisions. Yeah. Totally agree with that. Totally agree. Michael says self-sabotaged. Oh, come on. Come on. Mike Smith, Busby is racing to get that money, but why is that a bad thing? This is what he does for a living. Tony Busby is an attorney and a really good one. And again, I think he's only racing to get that money because Shannon Sharpe made really bad choices. Really, really bad decisions.
Yeah, don't blame the ambulance chaser, dude.
Yeah, Cougar Tracks. Shannon Sharpe is ruled by his lower extremities. Perhaps, you know, I don't know. Time to pay the bill, Shannon. It truly is. TJ Beck, sad. Shannon Sharpe just doesn't make good decisions outside of football. Worth a grip and can't get with higher tier ladies. What the heck? You should have been able to pull an incredible woman at this level. And again, it's what I always ask about men who wind up in this position. Like, the best, in my opinion, way to live your life is backed up by a really strong, powerful, empowered woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're on the same level. Like, you can't, if you're worth $100 million allegedly, like Shannon Sharpe is, you can't date an OnlyFans performer. And I don't care how much she makes on OnlyFans. You have everything to lose. She has everything to gain.
It's that simple.
And you go down the list. Who had more to lose, Bill Clinton or Monica Lewinsky? Like, you go down the list. Donald Trump or Stormy Daniels? I mean, it's unbelievable how many times this has happened. And you get guys like Anthony Edwards from Minnesota, the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Allegedly has kids with a ton of different women. Tyreek Hill, another prolific seed spreader, holding one of his babies over a balcony in an apartment building. And how did we find out about it? Because somebody was filming his balcony from like far away. You weren't accidentally filming that balcony because you're a target. You're wealthy. You're famous. You're a target.
No question.
So and I would even question, Shannon, what are you doing going to a public gym? Are you out of your mind?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You can't.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Zion Williamson is another.
Yeah, I mean, that's fact.
Great example.
Zion's another great example, dude. Bad decision after bad decision.
Involved with a porn star who outed him and said terrible, heinous things about him. Like,
yep. And he was on Snapchat doing that. And now here we are.
Tiger Woods. I mean, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to read these comments before I read them. Like, you guys, people's sexuality is not something to joke about. Yeah, I would agree. Shay about to pay. Has Malika Andrews mentioned this yet? She's probably setting up a full-blown docuseries. Jeez.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know that you... no one in jail is guilty. Well, and this, by the way, this is not a criminal case. It's a civil case. This is a civil lawsuit. TJ Beck, when you chase glory, the glory, Stephen A., you may fall as hard. People love to build you up and tear you down. Yes, they do. There are a lot of people in this country who don't like rich people, who do not want rich people to succeed. So, rock and rant. The disconnect between what some of you think you saw with Cam Ward and what I saw every week with him really blows my mind. It's not what we think we saw. You don't stand on the right boundary in a critical situation and throw the ball back across the middle. And you can never throw 2 interceptions in a game if you're an elite college quarterback. Not when you have zero room for error. And it's not what we saw at Miami last year. It's what we've seen over Cam's career in college. Nobody is saying he's a bad quarterback. But in my opinion, watching, and it's all on YouTube, you guys. Go watch his game film. All 22s are there, like anything you need to see. His decision-making is questionable. And when you compare his decision-making to Shedeur Sanders' decision-making, it jumps off the tape that Shedeur is more accurate. Shedeur is, I think, superior, not close, in a different stratosphere when it comes to diagnosing defenses and understanding what a defense is trying to do to his offense. There's not another quarterback in this draft who has the mentals of Shedeur Sanders, at least from what I've seen of Shedeur's tape and watching him play and what I've seen of Jaxson Dart. The reason Jaxson Dart's not the number 1 quarterback in this draft, he's a gunslinger. And he puts the ball in bad situations in critical moments on occasion. Shedeur does not do that. And I think when you look at the way that Shedeur Sanders and that offense handicapped their offensive line, and he still completed 74% of his passes, here's the exact reason I take him over Cam Ward. Because Shedeur Sanders still put the ball, and I would say 75% of the time, he put the ball in the only place it was safe.
Yeah.
There are multiple throws. One certainly stands out to Travis in the corner in the end zone, where he threw the ball a yard out of bounds. And you could see that Travis knew the ball was going there. So he's developed chemistry and he executed. It's not even close. That's one of the most difficult throws for a right-handed quarterback to make. And he makes it crisp. The ball comes out with zip. And he's not the guy. And he was this guy 2 years ago. And this is another reason I really think Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the draft. 2 years ago, he held the ball too long. 2 years ago, he got hit just so much more than he ever needed to because he wouldn't step out of bounds.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the weapons 2 years ago they had this past year, or the offensive line. And then you look at the progression of Shedeur from year 1 to year 2 at Colorado. That all went away with the exception of holding the football sometimes. The ball was rarely in danger. He doesn't really turn it over. And he completes 74% of his passes. And he did it without much of an offensive line in year 1 at all, and not a very good offensive line in year 2. And then I look at Cam Ward, and I look at some of the raw Cam Ward numbers, and you understand he was sacked only 22 times. And you understand where a lot of these big games happened, right? His biggest game, I think probably his best performance was opening week against Florida. I don't care if Florida was a better team. A lot of people have said Florida was a better team in the second half. That's not Cam's fault. 385, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Rated 189. I think that was one of his best performances. I put almost nothing into the FAMU Ball State game, USF game, and I think that set him up to struggle against Virginia Tech in what now was an infamous game, that 38-34 game, which led him right to the 39-38 Cal performance. But what happened? One of those turnovers in both of those games led to his team almost losing that game. Okay, then he makes plays that mean they win the game. Okay, totally on par with that. But I look at Louisville, that's a good win, 52-45. Okay, I totally get it. The numbers on paper jump out at you. But go watch the decision-making of Cam Ward. Go back, get on YouTube, and go watch his decision-making at the end of games. Because the thing that also worries you is look how he does not use his head. Cam Ward doesn't understand manipulation at the same level that Shedeur does. So Cam Ward can't stand in the pocket, or at least has not illustrated, in my opinion, the ability to stand in the pocket and manipulate linebackers and safeties. What he did is he waited a long time, and that's why, like, you're standing on the boundary and you're willing to throw it back to the middle in an absolutely awful interception, right? Or you look at some of the games where, he just took sacks that he didn't need to take, but that's because he ran into the wrong gap, or there are so many plays at Miami where the ball should have come out, it didn't come out, and it led to a sack. Didn't come out, should have come out, didn't come out, led to an incompletion. You almost never saw that from Shedeur Sanders in year 2 at Colorado. Like, it's awfully difficult to look at the two and say, Rock and Ran, I've watched every single game, and yes, including the 22, you're just completely wrong. Okay, so tell me what I'm completely wrong about. So you feel like Cam Ward displayed on tape his ability to manipulate linebackers and safeties, which means move them to put a football into a window that wasn't already open. Because that's just not what he does. Cam Ward has the ability, and what he does really well is he rolls a lot, but that movement is what he's using to move the defense. Instead of, like, I don't know, a pro-style NFL offense outside of Kansas City, because Andy Reid's a witch and he does things that I don't know how they do it. But in a pro-style offense, you have to be able to slide, step up, deliver a football. And one of the things that the young QBs, and I think you look at, I'll even use Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has that ability to sidearm. He has that ability. He developed a pitch. Cam's going to have to take a big leap forward in being an NFL-style quarterback, which is the other thing that kind of scares me off of him, is that he's going to have to take a big leap forward playing in the pocket and delivering the football while manipulating defenses. And the proof's going to be in the pudding. Like, we can sit here and we can go round and round about it. In my opinion, your opinion, which doesn't mean a damn thing at the end of the day. He's going number 1 overall to Tennessee. But at the end of the day as well, I think that selection in Tennessee could really hinder him, because they're not going to be good this year. I think they are one of the more poorly coached teams in the NFL. And I hope they're getting better. I just don't know. I don't know.
Yep.
So I think I all of this is not to say that I think Cam Ward is a bad quarterback, because clearly he's not a bad quarterback. But I think when you look at Cam and you start looking at what people say, the delivery certainly is a problem, right? I mean, it's unorthodox at best. I think the thing that really impresses you about Cam Ward is the velocity, which, again, one of the things that really jumps off the tape, he beats a lot of guys with velocity, which worries you at the NFL level because they play 2.5 steps faster at the NFL level. So he's not going to be able to necessarily step in and beat guys with velocity, which he did routinely this year, especially this year. Washington State, he really didn't do that, but they were pretty garbo when he was at Washington State, so you kind of got to write that off. But I think I look at what he did in the ACC this year, particular in conference play. He beat a lot of dudes with arm strength, and which is okay, right? I think he certainly. I mean, one of the things I think that you like, the interception numbers are not high. The turnover numbers are not high, right? So I like his arm strength. I like that he's durable, and I like that he doesn't turn the football over.
Yeah, my biggest indictment on him is that he keeps teams in games. It's my biggest indictment on Cam Ward. I mean, you want to sit here and talk about the Louisville game being a good win? He kept them in that game, right? I mean, they went back and forth, but there was a pick in there that never needed to happen that totally swung the momentum that ultimately leads the game down this path of having to put up a 50 spot to beat a Louisville team that you should have been way better than. You know, like, honestly, like the Vatek game, don't even get me started on the Vatek game. Like, he's half the reason that was a game.
Yeah.
Like, now they won the game. Give him credit. Give him his flowers. But it just, listen, man, you're a Miami fan. Cool, bro. Like, if Cam's your guy, cool. But with all due respect, you're not going to come in here and be like, oh, yeah, hey, you know, I don't know what the hell you guys are looking at. You're just flat out wrong when everybody agrees that this guy has a risk aversion problem. There's no question about it.
His decision-making is not good.
It's questionable at best.
And again, I say all of this to say, I think I just want to see him not live on arm strength. That's what I'm going to continue to say. He is fantastic at moving the pocket, and he's really good throwing to his right. His left he's much worse throwing to his left. And I just worry about guys like him who have cannons for arms and they make bad decisions. That has never worked out in the NFL. It's just something that, and maybe he can improve upon that. But when we look at what is he really known for? Accurate passer with a strong arm. And Shedeur Sanders completes 7% higher. And he does not have nearly the arm strength. And he doesn't have the spectacular resume plays that Cam Ward has. But that decision-making really scares me. That's why I can't have him be that. But, you know, well, we'll see. I mean, it's a fascinating conversation. I think that's for sure. Sanders was mostly on the run due to poor O-line play. Many times wide receivers broke off routes to come back and make plays on the ball due to Sanders having to scramble. I think it is the thing that sets him up to be ready to play in the NFL as a rookie is, I mean, they jailbroke almost every play his first year at Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, that offensive, that might be the worst offensive line any of us have seen in a decade. The year one offensive line under Prime was horrendous. And I think the call it what you want, off schedule, jailbreak, Shedeur's ability to find the soft spot in the flat and to have the ability from that spot to either throw it over the linebacker in front of the safety to Jimmy Horn, or a lot of times, one of the things that makes Travis Hunter elite, he does not drop footballs. You put a football in that guy's radius, he's catching it. And Shedeur,
even if it's out of bounds.
Shedeur was so good throwing the ball to a returning Travis Hunter. And the thing that really is impressive about the tape is Travis Hunter will do that little hook back. And when Shedeur lets the ball go, then Travis makes his break. Shedeur's throwing it to a spot that he knows Travis is going to break into. And he still completed 74% of his passes. Like it's stuff you can't make up, man. Like it's really, really difficult to do that. So almost every NFL scout is wrong. I didn't say that. I don't think you can go through one NFL draft without finding a bust at a quarterback. We just talked about this a few minutes ago. I'm not here to tell you that Cam Ward sucks because I don't think he does. But if you're the number one quarterback in the draft, you can't have that decision making. You cannot have that kind of decision making. And furthermore, I think it's that decision making that will have him struggle as a rookie
in an already awful situation.
Okay, it's possible they all loved Ryan Leaf. Everybody loved Ryan Leaf. There's no question about it. Everybody loved Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers. How did that work out? Everybody loved, I mean, pick your bust quarterback. Fat guy out of LSU for the Raiders, who's purple drink guy. Jamarcus Russell. That's one of the worst picks I've ever seen. Terrible. How many people missed on Tom Brady? Everybody. Nobody knew Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady. It's a crapshoot. There's not a right or wrong. You go to ESPN. I was reading the composites on the quarterbacks this morning. You have guys who are paid millions of dollars to analyze talent, and one guy's on one side, 5 guys are on another side. There's no right or wrong. We're all just sitting here giving opinions. Again, the thing that I always say is I've just been through the NFL draft 30, 40 times. I know what I'm looking at. Like you have to, and I'm not happy to tell you the things you need to look at when you're looking at a quarterback. Arm strength and accuracy are 2 of the biggest things. Cam Ward has a stronger arm. Shedeur Sanders is far more accurate. Okay, what's the next thing then? IQ and acumen. Put these 2 guys right next to each other, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. It's not close. When I say IQ and acumen, Shedeur Sanders' ability to soft shoe a linebacker, to make that linebacker believe he's going to run, and then that linebacker sucks up to find a receiver who's not even in that window yet and won't be there for 2 more seconds. Elite. And why is that? He's prepared. He's watched film. He knows what they're going to do. He knows that linebacker's tendency, and they have worked on this particular jailbreak all week long. So he throws the ball and boom, it's caught. And all of a sudden, you have a big play out of what should have probably been an incomplete or a ball thrown out of bounds. But I look at Cam Ward. What's the difference in that scenario? Cam Ward's not trying to move a linebacker. He's trying to throw it harder and faster than that linebacker can react with his hands. That's I think that is the singular difference. Cam Ward's decision-making is, and I don't care what composite you read on Cam Ward, everybody talks about his bad decision-making because he's got a cannon for an arm, and those guys always try to outthrow their bad decisions, and it almost never happens. So I'm not telling you, again, that either one of these guys sucks because they don't. Shedeur Sanders has a higher IQ and has a higher acumen and is an operator in the pocket and wants to be in the pocket, runs by necessity. Cam Ward bailed on the pocket a lot because he likes being outside the pocket. He's more comfortable rolling to it. This is a dude. If you said to him, you can roll left to throw back over the middle every time, go ahead and do it. He would do it every single time. He loves that throw from his left back over the middle to the right, and it is death in the NFL. Those are the things I'm looking at. Like, I just don't, I think speed is not something that you can time on the field. I don't care how fast you run. I want to know how fast you think. I need you to have seen it before you see it in person.
Yep.
I need you during the week to put yourself in the left flat, and I need you to fool the linebacker. And I also need, one of the things Shedeur is elite at, go watch the football when Shedeur's out of the pocket. And go watch the football when Cam Ward's out of the pocket. Now, he's cleaned up his turnovers. At Miami last year, he didn't turn the football over. But go watch what those two do with the football. The ball almost never leaves the launch point on Shedeur Sanders when he's out of the pocket. It's pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy. I'm not crapping on Shedeur. I think he will do great in the league, to be clear. I think he's going to be amazing. I really do. I think he will do very well. Mike Smith, processing speed in a QB is one of the most overlooked aspects that makes the most difference. I agree with you.
Yeah.
The computer, and it's what is so, oh man, his name went right at him. The kid in Washington. Jaden Daniels. What does Jaden Daniels do Monday night and all day Tuesday?
VR.
He plays the next week's opponent in VR. He has a full VR rig. And Shedeur does this as well. And I think it's the future of football. He has a full VR rig. And what that means is he puts on a headset and he plays the game in virtual reality using a computer that simulates the player's tendencies on the other team. It's remarkable technology. And it really does speed up your progress because you're actually seeing things before they happen.
The way you would see them on the field.
Yeah. I think it is. I think
that's
it's
the biggest
crazy.
difference with VR and just regular film is like, when you're watching regular film, you're not watching it from your perspective inside your helmet. But with the VR, that's the perspective you have.
Yeah, I think it is. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But I don't think there's a right versus wrong or you're dumb, I'm smart. Like, I really don't. And my phone is blowing up, and I want to get to this story on the Monty Show presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. This is a big deal. Judge Wilkin, this is the NIL house settlement. A friend of mine is sending me bits on this. Judge Wilkin is not going to approve the settlement the way that it's written now. She is saying that immediate implementation is impossible. I think that is very interesting. This house settlement is a disaster in college football, you guys.
It's a black hole, dude.
It is. Have you guys heard about this Madden Imaliava situation? And I don't mean to derail the show into a totally different direction. I think this is a really big story. Madden Imaliava is transferring to UCLA. He is Nico's brother. He is also a quarterback. He is under NIL contract to the collective at Arkansas. The exit fee is $200,000. Imaliava has already transferred. He's not paying it. And the University of Arkansas is encouraging the collective to go after him for it. So now we're going to go after. Do you understand what a grenade the Imaliava family threw into their own living room? In my opinion, so you lost a ton of money when Nico left Rocky Top to go to the Rose Bowl. Nico Imaliava was scheduled to make probably $2.4 million. A lot of people put the number at.
Yeah.
He's going to take home far less than $1 million after taxes at UCLA. I mean, he lost the money you're never getting back. Now, Madden Imaliava has a $200,000 bill that they're going to try and enforce against him to get out of his collective agreement in Arkansas. Does this make sense?
No, I mean, I think that it's, does it make sense from the family perspective? No, I think it's terrible. I think it's awful. I think, from a NIL perspective, the question of, should they be able to go after him? Is this good for college football? I think that this just comes back to basic contract law. I mean, it really just depends on what they agreed to. If you signed a piece of paper that said, hey, here's the NIL deal we're doing, and to get out of this deal, it's $200,000, then yeah, I think it makes perfect sense, and they should go after him.
Well, you paid this kid, and he hasn't taken a snap yet. I mean, Madden Imaliava never played it down. He early enrolled before the first of the year, early this year. I mean, he'd only been there a few months. You paid him money. I think they want their $200,000.
Yeah.
And
because they didn't get their value. And
Arkansas is encouraging them to go after him.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to sit here and say they're scamming people, but I mean, you essentially got paid to do nothing, because you're leaving. And that's the part that I think, players and families and whatever don't want to own up to and don't want to be accountable to. I mean, let's say there's nothing about the $200,000 exit fee in the contract. I mean, I'm not certainly advocating that you should just give that money back, but on some level, morals have to matter. I mean, at some point, your decision-making compass has to matter here. And whether it's the Shannon stuff, this Nico thing, like Madden, like, I mean, at some point in sports, these athletes and their families have to evaluate the playing field and say, like, what is the common sense thing to do here? Is it to go make videos with the OnlyFans girl, or say, no, I'm good. Is it to leave Rocky Top and come off as super arrogant, only to go to UCLA and make less than $1 million after taxes and everything is all said and done? Like, this is bad decision making, and I'm just going to keep saying it. And I'm sorry it's repetitive, but if this has nothing to do, like, if Nico and Madden aren't the ones making these decisions primarily, if they're not the ones that have the end all be all say, like, I think this is a real problem that needs to be sort of ruled out. Like, at some point, helicopter mom and dad need to get the hell out of the way. And I'm fine with, hey, here's our opinion, right? And this is my issue with a lot of parenting in sports, is like, a lot of parents want to be like, oh, we're doing it this way, dude. Yeah. But here's the deal, bro. They're not in high school anymore. This isn't middle school anymore, man. Like, they're in college. Like they are adults, young adults, albeit, but they are adults. Like whether you like it, agree with it, disagree with it, that's fine. But it's not your money, ultimately. That's the issue.
And just reading the reports online from people covering the story, Sam Ehrlich at Boise State says Judge Wilkin will not approve the House settlement as currently written, finding that issues regarding immediate implementation of roster limits preclude final approval, which obviously is a really big deal. Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports, as she did in the hearing April 7th, Judge Claudia Wilkin makes clear that she will approve the settlement if changes are made to roster limits. Will college executives currently in the CFP meetings in Dallas re-examine the roster limit situation? That is the expectation. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see. It'll be very interesting to see how this works. Judge Wilkin wrote today, quote, "The court will delay denial of final approval to permit the parties to attempt to modify the settlement agreement so that members of the injunctive relief settlement class will not be harmed by immediate implementation of roster limit provisions. Within 14 days of the date of this order, the parties shall make their best effort to consult with the mediator and together or separately about potential modifications of the settlement agreement to address the court's concerns," is what Judge Wilkin wrote. So we've got a 2-week window here where this could be adjudicated to some sort of closure. How long can this go on, though? That's my question. How long can we sit here and not have the loop on the finances of college sports closed?
Mm-hmm.
Because now if we have to remove roster limits, you've got to pay more money. Football just got exponentially more expensive, right? Or if you are going to cap or whatever this settlement winds up being, it's going to dramatically impact, especially the further down the food chain we get into the bottom of the P4s and into the G5s. It's going to dramatically impact how much money is put into a player's pocket. And so when we talk about Imaliava and his $200,000 buyout at Arkansas, when he never took a snap there, we're in the wild, wild west. And I don't know that there's a solution here.
Nope.
I really don't know if there is a solution.
There is certainly not a solution that fixes everything.
No, there is not.
There is always going to be a thing.
Well, and Ferris Khan just got filtered for 24 hours. So Ferris
Bro, what are we doing, man?
And YouTube tells us this. Ferris, the next time you get filtered will be the last time. I don't know what you said or what you did or what you said in your comment. If you get filtered again, it'll be a permanent ban by YouTube. So I'm just telling you that now, and I'm not the guy that's going to go in and fight for you. That's a you thing, because this means you've been on our show at a minimum. You've been filtered 5 times now. So I'm just and we don't handle that. We have no say over that. I can dive into the back end of our channel and figure out what you did that got you filtered. But I would just, I'm telling you, the next time you get filtered, you'll be banned from YouTube. You can do it, Ferris. Go for it. Don't be a quitter. And I don't think people understand that YouTube has really cracked down on things like using only emojis in comment sections or using a bunch of emojis, cursing, sexual language. They have AI that now reads every comment. And like on our channel, I don't have time to read every comment during the show. We're usually pushing 2,000 comments per show. So neither one of us is going to sit here and be able to read them. But you'll notice that YouTube will warn you. I think it's on time. Usually you are put in timeout for like 30 seconds, 5 minutes. Like, I don't know the intervals, but it warns you. You know, they take extra usage of emojis as spam. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. How many points does Cam get tomorrow night, dude? Or Cade? I'm telling you, the Pistons are close. The Pistons are close in that series.
Okay, real quick before we leave the draft.
Yes.
I love that Prize Picks has a whole thing around the draft.
Me too.
And I am huge on like in our members only group. I think it was Roche had a whole thing about, like, apparently there's a line about drip checks, how many times they check out dudes' outfits, apparently.
Jaxson Tatum is out tonight. So this wrist injury is bigger than we thought it was. Jaxson Tatum will not play. No kidding. Bros, I'm telling you, this NBA playoff season is going to be crazy. That is breaking right now. Let me see if I can get you a quick update. That because he got hurt. They're saying that it is an impact on the joint between his wrist and his forearm. Yeah, he's not playing. He's out. Wow, that is brutal. And they're concerned that it could be either a small fracture or a ligament issue. They are not detailing. It is a right distal radial bone bruise, and he is out tonight. Oof. Oh, that is not good. Jaxson Tatum out.
Yeah,
will not play tonight.
Maybe you should have sent the trainer out to talk to him when he fell.
Oh, boy. He is. Yeah, and did you know, the funny thing is the coach of the Celtics yelled at him to get up, inferring he was faking that injury. Ooh. Wow, that is a huge, huge story. Adjust your lineups accordingly. Hey, look at that. Calford gifts 20 Monty Show member.
Hang on, sorry, I was doing Prize Picks. Okay.
Calford gives 20 Monty Show memberships. Rock and Rant for $2. News: Judge Wilkin won't approve House settlement. Correct. Thank you. Big Blue Horses. You can be all world, but it's where you go that matters. Car gets destroyed in Houston, then you have to head. The head of the class is like Leaf, Jeff George, Johnny Manziel. Well, Johnny Manziel was an addict. And frankly, Ryan Leaf was an addict too. So Ryan Leaf had real issues. Jeff George bopped around a bit. I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Boy, that sucks about Jaxson Tatum. That is rough for Tatum. Look at everybody sucking up the memberships. Let's go.
Yeah, suck it up. Let's go.
Grow up. Main event. Corey Erickson. Frisbee driver, Steven Shearer. Man. Stupid.
Hey, stupid.
Michael Tamez, Taylor Smith, Israel Morrow. Welcome to the show. Lawrence N says, thanks, Calford. Lawrence N, welcome to the membership, man. Yeah, that's bad. That is a bad injury.
Yeah.
Bad injury. Mike Smith, Calford got that calimony check in the mail. I'm sure he did. Boy, there is a lot. That is a lot of news to get to. Why don't we come back and reset the whole thing? We'll give you our prize picks lineups because, again, we got to pick the Cubs who are going to win tonight. Hey, where's Chewy Gonzalez today? Well, yeah. Hey, Dodger boy. Hello? You're not here. Yeah. How about the Cubs last night? Losing, and then winning. All in the same game.
Stop crying like a little girl.
Yeah. How about my Chicago Cubs? Let's talk the biggest stories in sports. Presented by our friends at Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app, Prize Picks. Every single day I tell you I have a cough. Every single day I tell you, you deposit $5, they'll give you $50 more when you use the promo code Monty to open a new Prize Picks account. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app.
Yo, you think Dallas' Power 4 gonna drop 30 tomorrow?
Boy, you tripping.
Did you see his mom made a post about going to the game?
What? Hold up. His mama gonna be there?
He's been averaging like 34 points a game when she's there.
At least 40 when she be on that Jumbotron.
He don't like to let his mama down.
Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Cash in on your sports fandom with Prize Picks.
All right, the biggest story in sports. Hey, I don't know. What do you think this House settlement being delayed again, that's a big deal. There's no doubt about that.
The draft, I think the draft is the biggest story in sports right now.
I do?
I think it's not. I think this Jason Tatum injury, it's the Magic. All right, cool. We'll worry about that if it gets to Game 5 and Game 6, but I still think they're going to beat the hell out of that team. I think
the House settlement's a big deal.
I think the House settlement's a big deal. I think, that saga just seems to never end, and we seemingly get update after update, and we're closer and closer, and then, we hit a snag, So I think that's definitely a big story, but I don't think there's any doubt that the draft being tomorrow is the biggest story right now.
Yeah, and I think you look at Shannon Sharpe's another tape released where Shannon Sharpe allegedly threatens to choke a woman. I think that's a big deal. Again, a day where we were really looking forward and getting excited about, hey, let's talk NFL draft and we wind up with 10 stories. And it's funny, I'm sitting here in a and I want to be careful because he specifically asked me not to use his name. A BYU football alum,
Hugh Janus,
is texting me saying that I understand that a lot of people watch Cam Ward on TV. I unfortunately had to play Shedeur Sanders on the field, and let's make it real clear. Shedeur Sanders is ready to play in the NFL, and he was all season long. And I think that's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another big, he grew up as a professional, which I think matters. So I don't think there's any doubt Cam Ward is talented. And you're picking 1 and 1A here.
Yeah.
Right. So I just don't think either one's a bad choice. The stadium guy, James, is there any way that Dallas goes away from Dak? Dude, you are just gnawing on this. What do you want them? Why do you want them to get rid of Dak? Like, this is another conversation that I truly do not understand. You have continued to take money out of your offensive line. You're losing guys on that offensive line. Guys like Zach Martin retiring and Tyron Smith, and you're putting money into Dak. You're putting money into CeeDee Lamb. Your defense continues to take a beating. You still haven't paid Micah. Do you really think Dak Prescott's the biggest problem in Dallas and that removing him from the team is going to fix that? Because you're going to have to make an awfully strong case for that, because I just don't see that as the issue. Goes away from Dallas, tries to get Jaxson Dart at 12. Monty has convinced me that Dart is the best QB in the draft. I want Dart in Dallas. I think Jaxson Dart is the QB. I think there's a couple of guys outside of Shedeur and Cam, and I still maintain Jaxson Dart has some of the most upside of any of these guys. And I think if Quinn Ewers lands in the right spot, I think Quinn Ewers could be a phenomenal pro.
Mm-hmm.
But you better have an offense built around his abilities. And too many times in NFL cities, you don't see that.
Yeah.
And yes, I think Jaxson Dart's going to be a really good football player. Yeah, exactly right. Wait, I thought James was a Chiefs fan.
I mean, it seemingly changes every day, like it's hard to say.
Now we're worried about the salted McGriddle is going to do with Dak. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
I just continue to say Oak State James doesn't have a team. It's the team that's doing well that is his team.
I mean, it's true.
It's why he rotates between.
You weren't expecting this one.
Baylor, TCU,
Drunkyville,
not Oak State anytime recently, although he says they're going to be the greatest team that anybody's ever seen in the history of college football this coming season.
We show up.
Maybe run some more stairs,
Does anybody really have faith that Jerry Jones is going to? He said today that they are exploring big name trades. Can anybody explain to me why that would be a smart thing to say the day before the NFL draft?
You're exploring big name trades and the Jazz are going big game hunting. We get it, dude. I'm
really curious why he said that. I'm really curious. Why would Jerry Jones make the statement that they're out there exploring big name trades? I'll never understand it.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Maybe he thinks it'll help him in the draft. Who the hell knows, man? He's just not good at what he does. He's not a great owner. They should have won tenfold by now, and they just haven't. Diana Rossini is reporting that the Cowboys are expected to target an offensive skill position at number 12. Matthew Golden and Tetaroa McMillan are the names linked to the Dallas Cowboys at that spot. So, again, I ask, you really think that Dak Prescott should be replaced and they're going to draft Matthew Golden or Tetaroa McMillan? And let's surmise that they do that. Because I agree, you need a burner. Matthew Golden be a perfect fit because CeeDee Lamb is not the throw it down the field, go catch it guy. In the playoffs, he's not the hit him in the face mask catch it guy, apparently, right? I think we saw that. But yeah,
if you're the Dallas Cowboys, does fixing Dak Prescott, is that really high on the priority list? No, I'm going to say it's not, because you need to fix this organization.
Yeah.
You don't have enough talent to help him and CeeDee Lamb succeed offensively, because CeeDee Lamb's not a number one wide receiver. He is not. And it goes back to your favorite team, Oak State, James, the Kansas City Chiefs. Kermit the Frog today saying that, hey, I've got my complement of wide receivers back for the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to throw the ball all over the field. The passing game is back. It's going to break out in Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
Notice he didn't talk about Trav. He didn't talk about Swelsey and, I just think excuse me, in Dallas, Dak Prescott's not the problem.
Yeah.
He's not top 10.
He's what everyone goes to as some kind of problem to try to fix them. And it's just not the case.
You have a favorite AFC and a favorite NFC team. I will never understand that kind of fandom. I don't get it. The awkward guy. Dallas is going to tank for Arch. Could you think of a ticket sales and jersey sales of a Manning in Dallas? It'd be phenomenal. It would be phenomenal. Phenomenal Hebrew. Repeatedly. My Saints is really going to piss off a lot of Louisianans if they pass on Shedeur Sanders. There's two things that I read today about the Saints that were pretty right on. Is Derek Carr done or not?
Mm-hmm.
What is the picture with his shoulder? Is he going to play this year? Is he not? Like, you need to get finality. I'm sure they have that answer, and they're just not going to let that go.
Yeah.
Internally, you've got to have that answer so that you know exactly who you're drafting. And if it is drafting a quarterback, you better move up and get the exact guy you want.
100%.
Because you can't wait at 9 and hope for the best or wherever they are. I think they're 9th. You can't wait at 9, and then if Derek Carr's out, you're going to draft an edge player. You better not do that. You better get a quarterback. Stadium James has one of those spinner wheels that has all his teams on there, and he just flicks it, the arrow spinner. Genius idea. I mean, it's brilliant. and that spinner wheel hangs on the wall of his own personal IPF.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that also how we decide which projects are built on the top of stadiums?
James, no, Johnny, AFC Chiefs, NFC Cowboys. That doesn't exist. What happens if they meet in the Super Bowl? Well, I'll root for Baylor. Okay. I lived and worked in KC for 2 years. I still like them.
So hold
You're
on.
not a Chiefs fan.
Because you were in there for 2 years and they happen to be good, now you're a Chiefs fan?
My dream Super Bowl would be Chiefs Cowboys. See, like you're exposing yourself. Hopefully not literally.
I don't live in a what if scenario.
You can't do that. You can't do that. What do you do? Who do you pick in Dallas? Chiefs Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying. That's not a real thing.
Selectively aggressive.
You can't do that.
Apparently you can.
Right? You cannot do that.
Yeah, that's wild, dude. No.
So Ross Dellinger is apparently at the CFP, the College Football Playoff meetings in Dallas.
Oh, boy.
And the commissioners are coming out of the meetings and they're refusing to comment on Judge Wilkins' ruling. And Ross Dellinger is saying they're on the phone with their general counsels as we speak. Like,
dude, this is ugly.
This is really nasty. I think they all thought they were going to come out of these meetings and the settlement would be done.
Ooh.
Because they need it done.
Yeah, they do.
They absolutely need it done. All right. We got to get to Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. I warned you last night. Chaboy, hey, that's me. Was going to go on a heater.
That's me.
I told you, Chaboy was going to go on a heater. Right?
Yeah.
I told you I've never lost 5 in a row on the old prize picker machine.
Right.
Of course I didn't. Because Shota Imanaga.
Yeah.
Shota!
Yeah, nice.
Shota struck out 6 when I needed him to strike out 5. Ian Happ, you dastardly fellow.
Yeah, Happer.
Came through with. So we were debating, and Jake tried to talk me out of picking Ian Happ yesterday. Ian Happ, half a hit run in an RBI. He had 7. Dustin Carrot Top Maine. He needed 4 strikeouts, Dustin May. Pitcher for the
I told you to take him.
He had 5.
I told you to take him.
Cubs won in a scintillating ball game at the friendly confines last night. Now, screw you, LeBron. Screw you, White Chocolate, Austin Reeves.
What did you have Austin Reeves on?
4 free throws. He made 2. Only shot 2. Somehow. Only shot 2. So tonight, we're still on a heater in Major League Baseball. And I think I'm a little worried about this one. Ooh, I only have 3.5 minutes to pick the Cub game. Shohei Ohtani.
Hey, Ohtani.
Jake, what do you like in the Cubs? Do you like the Cubs at all tonight?
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to get down to.
It is the Cubs are throwing Matthew Boyd, the lefty, who has a 2.01 ERA. And your guy, the great gambler, had 2 last night. I'm going to take him. I think Shohei's going to have a game. So I'm going to take him for more than 1.5 against the Chicago Cubs.
1.5 what?
Hits, runs, and RBIs.
Okay, I'll go with you on that. I like that.
I like that one. And then for the Chicago Cubs, how do you not go Kyle Tucker, who has just been...
How do you not go PCA?
Settle down. I think you have to. Boy, it's tough. I think you have to go 3.5 hits, runs, and RBIs and go more for Kyle Tucker. I think you have to do that.
I'm going Ohtani more than 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. PCA more than 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs on the Demon. And Happer for 1 hit, run, and RBI.
Okay, and I'm going to go Matthew Boyd less than 5 strikeouts. Those are my 3. I've got 35 seconds to lock in a $20 flex play to win 120. If I go 3 for 3, such as in like the pimp did last night, I win $120. So again, Matthew Boyd, less than 5 strikeouts. Kyle Tucker, 3.5 hits, runs, and RBIs more. And Shohei Ohtani, 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs more.
Okay. Lock that in.
Now look.
Then we got to look at the NBA.
The app is just spinning. There it is. We got it.
Okay.
We got it.
Got to go over to the Celtics now because of this Jason Tatum injury. So I'm definitely getting in on Peyton Pritchard to have a nice little night tonight.
NBA Sixth Man of the Year.
Yep. So he's I'm going to
Steph is playing tonight, so the first stat we have to look at is 3-pointers made.
Right. What's his number at that?
37 3-pointers made.
I don't know. He's got to be at 8. What is he at? Where are you?
Where is Steph? Steph is at 3.5 3-pointers made. You can get him at 5.5 on a team.
I'm taking 5.5. Yeah, I'm taking 5.
On it, really? He hasn't hit 5.5 since they moved it. 3.5 now as a Goblin.
Yeah. Nah, he'll have a good night tonight. Yeah, he'll have a good night.
Why do you think he'll have a good night tonight?
I just, when like the last game he made 5 threes, so he's 1 make away from hitting.
Okay, I'm gonna go less. I'm gonna go less.
Well, how are you going? What are you less on what?
I'm going more than 3.5.
Okay, more than 3.5.
More than 3.5. Okay. Yeah, and I think, boy, there are some tough ones tonight in the NBA, boys.
Drew Holiday for 1 3-pointer made. I like a lot.
Oh man, this is tough. You like that Drew Holiday number
because it's one shot made.
What about Ammon Thompson? You can get him at 10 field goals attempted. He's been at 9-9, 14, 9-9 in his last 5.
It's pure luck, dude.
Defensive rebounds. No, I don't like that number at all. Boy, Jaylen
Brown.
Jaylen Brown's the easy one, in my opinion. I think Jaylen Brown's the easy one. Man, they keep updating
Yes, they keep updating the lines.
They keep updating the lines. 3-pointers made. Peyton Pritchard's 2.5. Drew Holiday's 1.5. Jaylen Brown is 1.5. I'm going to go more on that. And then, boy, there are some tough ones tonight. I don't like anybody on Orlando.
What about Jalen Green with Houston? He's got a ton of them that you can play. I mean, he's got 19.5 just points and assists, 19.5 points and rebounds. 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists is a gimme.
What about Donovan Mitchell? 8.5 3-pointers attempted.
What does the last 5 look like?
9, 6, 11, 7, and 9.
I would say yes. I would take that, but
you think?
I would, but again, I always tell you bad picks. Apparently,
you do. So, you're terrible at prize picks.
So you do what you think is
all right. I got Steph Curry more than 3.5 3-pointers made. Jaylen Brown more than 2 3-pointers made, and Donovan Mitchell 8.5 3-pointers attempted. $20 3-man flex play. Ding.
Okay, and then the last one I want to do is this draft one. Do you have the pop-up on your thing for the draft?
Why do I need to do a draft
Because it's fun.
Why do you hate me?
Why would you not, dude? Why would you not? I'm taking Goodell Boot on stage for more than 10.5 seconds.
You're going more than 10.5 seconds.
Yeah. Mel Kiper, number of times he uses the word upside in the first round at 3.5 more. And then number of times the word drip is mentioned at more than 2.5 times in the first round.
Well, what about Call of Duty? We haven't done a crazy Call of Duty one in a long
I'm down.
time.
I'll do, let's see.
I don't have the NFL draft in my prize picks.
No, it's like a little pop-up right here in the middle. It's not at the top. It should be.
There it is.
Yeah.
I see it. All right. First rounders wearing glasses, 3.5. Ashton Ginty, 6.5 draft position.
I stayed away from that one. I wasn't sure.
I mean, okay. Goodell booed on stage. Attendees left undrafted. First rounders crying, 3.5. Prize Picks is savage in this way.
That's awesome, dude.
SEC players drafted in the top 10, 3.5. Oh, do you guys think we'll get 3.5 out of the? Well, let's see. Cam Ward's going number 1. That's a no. Travis Hunter 2, no. Abdul Carter probably 3. Let's say no. Will Campbell, LSU, I think is a lock at 4. Are the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Ashton Ginty? I think Kelvin Banks in the top 10 is 2. Does Jalen Walker? Oh, okay. I'll go more. Travis Hunter, is there any chance he gets past the Browns? Because his draft position is 2.5.
So tough.
It is tough. Michigan players banned from the draft by the NCAA, 37, more or less.
Number of sign stealer guy sightings at the draft.
Adam Schefter, 10.5 interview spots, more or less. These are really difficult.
Okay,
these are really difficult.
I'll buy you a minute here. I'm gonna do a crazy Call of Duty one just because.
God, you're such a jerk.
I'm gonna combo it with an NBA pick just to see if I can help myself. So I'm taking Jalen Green on a demon for more than 3.5 3-pointers made tonight. And then these Call of Duty ones, I have no idea what I'm talking about. These are pure guesses. No clue if these are good picks or not. Somebody named Rex for 48 map kills, 48 kills on maps 1 through 3. Snoopy to have more than 60 kills in map 1 through 3, and Envoy for more than 53.5 map kills. And these 3 are happening tomorrow, by the way. So this is a 4-pick flex play, $20 to win up to 260 if I were to get all 4. So
holy cow. Okay, if you get all 4, I won't do anything. All right, I'm going SEC players drafted more than 3.5 in the top 10. Ashton Ginty, the draft position of 6.5. I'm going to say he's going to go less than that. So less would mean lower than that. Travis Hunter, 2.5 draft position, more. I think he's going number 2.
Okay.
So that's where I go. That's a free play.
Nice.
There is no charge to do that. So
sweet.
Always love that.
Nice.
That's why I love Prize Picks. They always give you promos and you always have a good time. It's one of the things I really love about Prize Picks. Download the app, use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. It's amazing. Bailey Dietrich says Travis Hunter to the Browns. Eric Wasikowski, terrified how much Hutch will cost. JMO might be trade bait tomorrow night. See, I love that you as a Lions fan think that anybody knows who you're talking about. I don't. I mean, would you really trade Jameson Williams? I mean, I think he is. 1,000-yard wide receivers don't grow on trees. I would point that out. I mean, 1,000 yards on 58 receptions is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Average 17.3 yards. The Washington loss, he only had one catch for 19 yards, obviously. That's not great, but I would have a hard time seeing that. But Jay McClanahan, I think Dart goes to the Steelers. They need a solid QB, and that could be him.
Mm-hmm.
If they're both available, Dart or Shedeur Sanders. You got to take Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nacho Libre. For all sports, I have one team that I love, a few that I tolerate or hate, and don't care about the rest. You have to have that team that is just disgusting and you can't stand them.
Yep.
You have the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago White Sox. In life, hate is not okay. When we're talking sports, hate is perfectly fine. Hate is perfectly fine. Big Daddy Magic. Mookie Betts played for the Dodgers. Okay, playa. He plays for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm not. What do you mean, dude?
Big Daddy Magic. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Brandon Butler. If the Bears can't get Ginty in the first, I wouldn't mind the Michigan defensive tackle as a Bear. Well, there's some thought that Mason Graham's going to plummet. I think that's just a bunch of hijinks to get him to fall to somebody.
Yeah.
Kim Coulter, put me down for 100 on over 3.5 of the first rounders crying. If I lose, I'll make another contribution to Monty's kids. Okay, great.
Okay.
Great. I love that, Kim. Good to see you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw that. Steve McMichael passed away.
Damn.
The Bear Hall of Famer, Steve McMichael, passed away, unfortunately. Which is tough. Look at that. Oh my God, the greatest quarterback Notre Dame's ever seen.
Hold on. Isn't that Notre Dame's starting quarterback right
The greatest quarterback anybody has ever seen in South Bend.
How is this happening right now, dude?
Monty, he's going to be
Monty.
You're wrong. Because again, I'm so wrong about quarterbacks.
Yeah, you're just a buffoon about Notre Dame and quarterbacks.
And no, just quarterbacks in general. That I think Shedeur Sanders is at all capable of throwing a football. It shows you how stupid I am. And what did I tell you guys about Steve Angeli at Notre Dame? What did I tell you? That's not a starting quarterback at Notre Dame. That's why he now is the starting quarterback at Syracuse. Congratulations, Steve-O. I wish you well.
Yeah.
He was not good enough to play at Notre Dame. And if Steve Angeli's your quarterback at Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman should have to sleep outside on a bench at Notre Dame, because that's embarrassing.
And as you can see, there's not much hope for you left.
That you can't do better? Come on, guy. How dare you, Monty? No one in pro football would openly lie and obfuscate about talent in the draft. It's all above board. The internet said so. Exactly right. That's right. Mongo's suffering has ended. Tragic, but I'm glad that he and his family can have peace. He had ALS, and
yeah, it's gnarly, dude.
I love football, you guys. I think you know that. What it does to their brains, I want nothing to do with that. And I struggle. It's why I used to love the UFC. When I was just a young buck in Sacramento, and I loved the UFC. I can't do it anymore. I know too much about what it does to their brains. Steve McMichael, that man went from a mountain to a molehill, and watching it was painful. And what happened to him in football and in professional wrestling, and the damage that his body suffered, I am glad it's over.
Yeah.
I am glad it's over. I'm very glad it's over. Big Daddy Magic, Steve McMichael. What is the Four Horsemen? He was. ALS is a terrible disease. And I really hope that we never, ever see it again. And unfortunately, we will. That much is very clear.
Yeah.
We will see it again, and it's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. And I just hope that, I hope sometime at some point we find a cure. By the way, going to the bottom of the first, Mookie Betts had the base hit. Shohei Ohtani's 0 for 1. So we're losing already on prize.
Awesome, dude.
At this point yesterday, we had won already because Ian Happen had that
the double.
That big double.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Remember, I've got Kyle Tucker coming up. 3.5 hits, runs, and RBIs.
Yeah.
And the Cubs are starting to make you want to use your imagination a little bit. I mean, that team last night, they're 15-10 now on the season, 7-5 at home. And they went blow for blow with what is supposed to be the best team in baseball in the LA Dodgers.
Yep.
And they beat them.
Yep.
Again.
Yep.
So
will they spend money on the bullpen?
Yeah, because the bullpen's not good for the Cubs. So
no, it's a joke.
There is that. Don't forget, tomorrow on the show, we have $600 to go. $600 is what we need by end of show tomorrow for hungry kids. We are partnered with the Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. I tell you every day, you never reach into your pocket to pay the Advocates. In fact, you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. And one of the things I truly love about our partners at the Advocates, they care and they put their money where their mouth is because they are always supporting our communities. And whether you are in San Diego, Washington, Idaho, Utah, no matter where you hear this show, Las Vegas, hello. No matter where you hear this show, the Advocates are working in your community. And right now, their big fight for the month of April is to help put an end as much as we can to childhood hunger. 1 in 6 kids in this country goes hungry every day. How is that possible? That 1 in 6 kids in this country goes hungry. And it just doesn't need to happen. And if you have it in your heart and you have it in your wallet, I ask you to get on Venmo, make a donation to the Advocates on Venmo. And we try to raise $5,000 every time the Advocates do this. They do it in the fall for kids going back to school. They do it in during the holidays for Thanksgiving and sub for Santa. And they do it for childhood hunger in the first quarter. And here we are coming to the end of the school season. And kids are unsure about where their next meal is going to come from, especially when they don't have the school lunch program. Get into it. If you have it, and I literally mean, you guys, every dollar matters. $1, $5, $100. You guys are so generous with your money. You're so generous with your time watching this show every day. Please consider making a donation on Venmo. Advocates donations. Send Jake a screenshot of your donation. We're giving away 2 $100 Amazon gift cards tomorrow on the show. Make it happen. Make it happen. Let's see. Big Blue Horses. Mongo was only 67. Too young. Very young.
Yeah, that's the sad part, dude.
Very young. Big Daddy Magic. I'm going to make one in person. What are you going to make in person?
Oh, a red Bill shirt? Okay.
You're going to make a donation to the Advocates in person. Do it. This is all over the place. You're in Salt Lake City. They have offices all over Salt Lake City. Would be thrilled. You guys, anything that you can do. There's no reason for kids to be hungry. So get on Venmo, make a donation. Just mention Monty and then put a sports take. Shedeur Sanders sucks. Cam Ward's amazing. You can do that as well. Advocates donations on Venmo. We'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow. All right, let's get into real quick while we have a few minutes. Did you guys see JJ Redick last night? Because he's been kind of a hot button issue on the show this year. As we sit here and we watch the Hoops Collective podcast in the background because Jake's lazy on the TV remote. That's me bumping Jake to turn on the Celtic game. JJ Redick last night called a timeout and absolutely eviscerated the Lakers in the huddle. Yelling, screaming, cursing. And LeBron James said that turned the game around for them. Jake, was JJ Redick the right guy for the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, he's doing a good job. I think that, JJ said that it wasn't, a reporter had asked him apparently after the game if that was like out of frustration. And JJ denies that was out of frustration, that it was more just that, they needed to. JJ referenced basically that the Lakers needed to be more organized, and that they had really, taken a lot of time between game 1 and game 2 in their film study to really look at like being more organized offensively and playing a certain style that they were, trying to play. And he got on them because they were getting away from that, and that was allowing them to lose control of the game, essentially, to lose control of the pace of the game, to just not play as well as they should be playing, and ultimately let Minnesota get back into it. And I think that's where, when you ask the question, was he the right hire? Yeah, I think he was the right hire. I think he's young. I think, he's relatable. I think he's not scared to light people up and hold people accountable. And that's what you have to do in the postseason. It can't always be LeBron telling these guys that, are what to do or holding people accountable. Like JJ or whoever the head coach is going to be has to do that. And I think JJ is doing a good job. So, yeah, I think he was the right hire.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt he was the right hire. And I look at the way that game turned last night. The one thing that continues to be amazing about the Lakers is they don't, they don't miss free throws. And I think when you look at the way that the Lakers play, they shoot plenty, 20. They're 20 for 20 from the stripe last night in a game they won by 9. That made all the difference in the world. And you start looking at the fact that they were 6 of 29 from 3. That's not good. But they held the Minnesota Timberwolves to 85 points. So their defense is good. Their free throw shooting's good. I don't think there's any doubt that Luka scoring 31 points on 20 shots, but going 11 for 11 from the line, 2 of 8 from 3, that's danger territory. If this team, damn it, if this team does not shoot a high percentage from 3, they're always going to be in jeopardy, in my opinion.
Yes. And I think that's why the defensive side is so important. They if you're going to hold a team to 85 points, that gives you a much better chance of winning the ball game, obviously. If you're allowing the opposition to score 100 points every night, that's going to lower your percentage to win the game. And I think some nights, you have to win it on the defensive end. And I do think that that's what they did last night, because they were not playing great offensive basketball. Luka and Bron, neither of them had big nights. You didn't have the 35-point performance out of Bron. You didn't have some ridiculous game out of Luka. So you had to stop them defensively, and that's exactly what they did.
Do you guys root against the Lakers? Just out of curiosity, how much Laker hate is in the comment section today? I'm really curious to see how many people truly hate the Lakers, because I think there's a lot of Laker hate out there. I absolutely think that most people, if they had their druthers, LeBron would never win another game or score another point, and the Lakers would be absolutely invisible. And I have no problem saying I am Oak State James. The Bulls are absolutely abysmal. I'm a Laker fan. I love the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, I grew up in the Jordan Pippen, Horace Grant era. Phil Jackson, Doug Collins, Dave Corzine, and Stacey King. But I think most people root against the Lakers when they get the chance.
Yes.
Right? Zona Tucson. I root against the Lakers for sure. Hate them. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Gabriel is a Laker fan. Man, this cough is killing me. As a Laker fan, JJ yelling at my team gave me hope.
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow. Jay McClanahan, Lakers are my favorite team from early Magic days. Okay. I'm a little surprised there is support for the Lake Show in the comment section today, which is interesting. I would remind you the Boston Celtics currently are hawking up bricks. Thanks, Jalen, for that. They are ahead of the Magic 16-15, 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. I'm not a Jaylen Brown believer.
Yeah, he'll have a nice night tonight with JT being out, but I think when Tatum's out, Drew Holiday's the guy that's got to get it going.
Okay. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I really hope. I want to see Lakers Celtics in the finals. That'd be if I had my wish.
It would be incredible.
That would be I would be just fine with that. I would be just fine with that. And again, I'm going to slam roofing nails into my toes because apparently tonight is not the night that Matthew Boyd is going to strike people out. Which actually, wait a minute. Whoo! I said he'd have less than 5 strikeouts. He's through 2 innings, and he has not struck out a single Dodger.
Wow.
Okay, I feel better. Kyle Tucker needs to get 4 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to need a bomb out of him to make that happen. Let's see. Couple more of your comments real quick on the Lakers. Man, you guys with the comment bombs. Brandon Butler, I dislike the Lakers for the same reason I dislike the Yankees and Cowboys. The name and the mystique keeps them in the news even when they are bad. Okay.
Don't disagree.
I think there's something to that. BYU football says I can't stand the Lakers. Roche, I don't care about the Lakers, but they always have players I like.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate that.
So you wind up watching them because you want to watch your player.
You do.
Yeah.
You absolutely do.
Yeah.
So I don't hate that. Nacho Libre. I've never been much of an NBA fan. I enjoyed watching certain players, though. I love the NBA, which is why I want to talk about Steph Curry being a bad man. How many years do we have left of Steph Curry? Because right now, if LeBron is playing his last year, and I don't know that that's true, but there's a lot of people who believe he is. If LeBron's indeed playing his last year, doesn't Steph instantly become the face of the NBA?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you can make a really strong case that Steph globally is the face of the NBA right now. I think that's
really.
Oh yeah. Well, I think because after the Olympics, his moment in the Olympics, I think kind of springboarded him. And I'm not saying certainly LeBron would be far behind him. I mean, we're talking 1-1A tied type situation, but I think when you look at Steph's impact overseas, like I don't know, man. I think Steph is more likable than LeBron, honestly. It's unfortunate
that's
that Steph
by far.
I think it's unfortunate Steph is an Under Armour guy. I think if he was a Nike guy, he'd probably be, head and shoulders the face of the league if he was a Nike guy. But, if Bron's playing his last year, I think it's clearly Steph until he's done.
As a note, the Celtics literally can't hit water from the boat. Not literally, figuratively. They are shooting 27% from the floor. Right now, they are trailing the Orlando Magic 17-16.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Missing open layups and jump shots. Don't be surprised. Who do you guys think is the face of the NBA? I think it is LeBron James. I think it's LeBron James, but that's just me. Danny Kiger, not a huge basketball fan or a LeBron fan, but my aunt lived in LA when I was a kid during the Kobe years, so no hate there. Okay.
Yeah.
Johnny Gonzalez, I heard a roofing nail reference. You building an upper deck, Monty? Yeah, I thought about it. Oak State James is rubbing off on me, and I okay
dude,
wow.
What are you doing, bro? What in God's name? Shannon, you chill out now.
I walked into that one.
Macaque.
Wow, I can't believe I said that. Wow. I don't know how you
smiles and glory holes.
I don't know how you recover from that. Let's just move on. LeBron has 2 years, Steph barring injury 3 to 5. That could be close. Nacho Libre, Kobe was my favorite player to watch by far.
Yes.
Delaric, it's LeBron, but it's Luka. But if Luka is becoming due to being a Laker now,
maybe.
Luka's not likable right now. What do you guys think of this Nico Harrison stuff?
Oh,
I've tried to avoid this for a couple of days. I don't understand why Nico Harrison, who is the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, I just, first of all, everybody hates you, and that's why they want to know one thing.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite, and you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
You're doing your end of season presser. All right, first question. Who's up? Jack Hole from the Tribune. Hey, Nico, why shouldn't we fire your ass and run you out of Dallas?
It's a wrong question.
Okay. And then, and I'm not even going to preface this bite.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level. But really, the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage.
Wait a minute. Again, I didn't watch Cam Ward play football at Miami, according to Rock and Rant. But
and Steve Angeli is the starting quarterback at Notre Dame, allegedly.
Did you just say that?
Play it again. I mean, you can't even speak for dude on this. Like,
you said they were a championship. I'm sorry. You used your lineup in championship in the same sentence.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level. But really, the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage.
Yeah, I don't think so.
My name is Luka.
And look, Luka Doncic is probably where he needs to be because he would have never met his potential in Dallas. But Jake, do you see any way that lineup's a championship lineup?
No, I mean, you're sitting here, trying to tell us that somehow that lineup is going to be like what he didn't explicitly say there, but he's clearly inferring is that ownership is down with this thought, right? Like, hey, because he said we feel that this lineup is a championship lineup. So essentially, what you're saying is that you feel that Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively together as a unit is a championship caliber team.
What are you talking about?
And I just really struggle with that because in the same breath, you're on the other hand saying, well, you can't judge me. In the other clip, he's like, hey, you can't judge me on the injuries this year. Actually, yeah,
we
Nico,
can.
I can. Actually, I can.
You traded for Anthony Davis.
Because Anthony Street Clothes Davis is given that name because he spends more time in street clothes than he does in his uniform and in his Kobe's. Like, that's his problem.
The other issue is you just said you didn't know how important Luka was to the fan base.
Street Clothes Davis.
What do you mean you didn't know? I knew how important he was, but I didn't know to the extent. What does that mean, bro?
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base.
Did he said I didn't know?
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level.
What? That's your superstar player.
Bro.
And you didn't know to what level he was important to the fan base.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, you should be fired for that. Honest to God, I kid you not. I understand you're out here trying to sell us that Anthony Davis and a banged up Klay Thompson and Kyrie out for the year and my mom's sewing circle, all that was a championship lineup. Okay, cool. But you didn't know how important Luka was to the fan base? I mean, I knew he was important, but to what extent? What other extent would there be other than incredibly or very?
Or the face of the organization? Like, what do you mean? like, sorry, dude. Like, and I have to agree. And we can't play it because it's copyrighted. But Chuck the other night going on NBA on TNT saying stop doing press availability, stop doing interviews and stuff. I have to agree. You're killing yourself, dude.
That was horrendous.
Stop.
That was absolutely
talking to
horrendous.
the media, bro.
Yeah.
Stop it. You are not, with all due respect, dude, you are not some media savant that knows how to handle. What you should have done is you should have said, yeah, dude, we knew how important Luka was to the fan base. We knew just how important he was to our team, and we thank Luka for everything that he did for this city and this organization.
You can't measure the impact he had on the city of Dallas and the Dallas Maverick fans.
But at the same time, we believe this lineup was more championship, would bring us closer to a championship than the lineup we had with Luka.
Yeah.
So we decided to go ahead and make that move when we did. And if you disagree with that, then that's another conversation.
Brandon Butler, Nico's mouth should have a Converse logo tattooed on his tongue because every time he opens his mouth, he inserts a foot. See what that's a shoe. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is he should stop doing press conferences. It is absolutely brutal. It is. I cannot even fathom how stupid that is. And then there's in the pooper for Cooper.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you mess this up? Because I thought
he's staying in college. Remember, everybody told me how okay, so let's recap. I don't watch Cam Ward. I don't know shit about quarterbacks in college football.
Including Steve Angeli.
Yeah, and Steve Angeli's never leaving our mother, leaving. God bless America, Notre Dame.
Right,
Notre Dame, our mother.
And Cam Ward's amazing, and I don't watch. Do you even watch Miami football, bro?
Yeah, you're, quote, flat out wrong in this one.
Shedeur sucks.
Right.
Daddy ball.
Right.
And Cooper Flagg is not leaving Duke. Why would he? Look how much money he's making in NIL. To which I told you, you're just putting off a $50 million payday every day that you don't go to the NBA because you're not trying to get a rookie deal. You're trying to get your rookie deal extended, which is where your first big payday is. So now Cooper is fully in the NBA pooper, and Utah Jazz fans immediately took to Twitter to announce that he was coming to the Jazz. And I think this is going to be the meltdown of the Utah Jazz fan base, rectally speaking.
Donnie, please.
When that pooper ain't named Cooper.
Well, somehow he wound up in a Hornets uniform. How did that happen, Monty?
When Cooper and I dare say Victor Wembanyama are wearing the same sweaters, some Jazz fans are going to be pissed. Do you believe that the Utah Jazz end up with Cooper Flagg?
No. Nope.
Do you believe?
Nope. I think it will all be for naught. I think that all the tanking will be to not have a first overall pick.
If the Utah Jazz do not get Cooper Flagg, oh my God. The pain, the suffering, as though you're a Chicago Cubs fan, hoping that Matthew Boyd will not strike out. A lot of Dodgers tonight. And understanding that the guy you said sucks out loud, Michael Bush, is probably your best offensive player next to Kyle Tucker for the Cubs. In all seriousness, can you imagine what happens to Utah Jazz fans who are routinely in my Twitter feed, who are routinely telling me, bro, you're dumb. Ryan Smith, man, he's amazing. I know, but he hasn't spent money on players or the building for the Jazz.
But Monty.
Free $2 hot dogs, Monty.
Yeah, J-Dogs, dude.
Totally get it.
Dude.
But don't you want your team to win? Not if there's free beer.
Fact.
I'm telling you.
J-Dogs and Modelo, bro.
But I can go to Delta Center and get swig. Okay. I understand it. But you can drink high fructose corn syrup at home too, my friends.
Bruh.
The suffering, the meltdown that will happen. I mean,
this is a code 10 abort.
I don't can you imagine all the tears that will be shed on the concrete sidewalks of Temple Square?
Gosh.
when the San Antonio Spurs end up with Cooper Flagg. Can you imagine if...
Dude, that would be really rough.
Final.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know what will happen if you end up with the New Orleans Pelicans getting Cooper Flagg.
Biggest kick in the balls you'll ever get.
And the number 1 pick goes to the Washington Wizards. Oh my God. The owner of the Utah Yetis will lose his ever.
They don't have that either. They don't have that either.
And the winner of the number 1 pick is the Sacramento Queens. Can you imagine if the Queens of Sacramento wind up with Cooper Flagg and Utah Jazz fans are spilling their tears on the streets, and they're crying and staining their Utah Not Yeti jerseys? At least they have Purple Mountain uniforms for the Jazz now.
When I die, I'm going to paradise.
Dude, it's so bad.
Oh my God. The Toronto Raptors. Because the Jazz are tied with the Hornets, the Wiz, and the Jazz, all at 14%. The number 1 pick in the NBA draft goes to LaMelo and LeVar Ball. Oh my God. Do you know how many Utahns are going to get run over when LaMelo Ball shows up to break your hearts for the NBA draft?
Yeah, the ballage is going to be rough,
Oh my
dude.
God. That would be, even though LaMelo's driving skills would fit right in. I will be fine with a top 3 pick. No, dude. No.
No. See, we're not doing this, dude. We're not doing the, well, we didn't get Cooper. Oh, it's fine. Top 3 is still fine. No.
Well, we all knew we weren't getting Cooper Flagg.
No. I'm not doing any of that. No BS on this show, dude. I am not at all ever going to acquiesce on, if you don't get Cooper Flagg, all the tanking was for naught. If you don't get Cooper Flagg, all this crap about big game hunting and we're going to do, all these trades, and it's all for naught, dude. I'm not. The reality is, I don't have to like the Jazz. I don't have to sit here and lie about what they're allegedly going to do or not do. The reality is, you tanked to get Cooper Flagg, and if that doesn't happen, you messed it up.
The purple uniforms.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
The purple uniforms, bro.
I mean, does anybody in this town give a damn about winning? Like,
I don't think so.
Like, does it literally not matter?
I think.
Like, honestly,
if it goes anywhere but Utah, Brandon, I want you to. Well, you can't boycott the RSL anymore because it's on them too. I want you to camp out in the parking lot at the new Beast Stadium in daybreak. I don't know what you do. I don't know. But I'm telling you now, if the Spurs get him, Big Daddy Magic is going to be unbearable. It's going to be unbearable. I have never BSD'd you guys. BS'd you guys? Do I want Cooper? Yes. Reality is highly unlikely.
Oh, stop.
Well, you have an 86% chance of not getting him. So there is that, or it's probably less than that, but whatever. Gabriel, besides to escape taxes, why would players want to play in Utah? The uniforms?
Here we go.
Purple highlighter uniform, yellow and white with the black and the yellow.
The rebrand. The rebrand.
Where you forgot to order purple uniforms. Other than that, it was great that you guys played in practice unis for a couple of years.
We're
what?
Dude.
Smith vacated his ownership of RSL, by the way. I can't believe it. Everything he touches turns to. Has Ryan Smith been successful as a pro sports owner?
No.
Of the not going to be Yeti because we don't research things, and the Utah Jazz and minority owner of the RSL, Real Salt Lake. Can't say that he has been. Let's see. Danny Kiger. Unfortunately, the Easter check to Notre Dame Collective from Pope Francis didn't clear because he passed away before bank hours. Wow, that's
I don't know that we should be making dead Pope jokes.
Are we really? Is the comment section today really?
I'm good with, dude. You want to make Shannon Sharpe jokes? I'm good with that, bro. We're not making dead Pope jokes, okay? We're not. We can't be doing that, bro.
Oh boy, Shohei has done some damage.
The great gambler.
Shohei has a base hit. Shohei has the bases are loaded. Oh God!
I don't show that does the box score say he's got a hit?
And Prize Pick says he has a hit. Yes, it does.
Mine hasn't updated yet.
Yes, it does. It says that he has a hit. Yes, Shohei Ohtani, base hit to right. And the Dodgers are starting to hit Matthew Boyd. Take him out of the game. Take Matt Boyd out of the game. He's only got one strikeout. You can't tell me he's making more. Your guy PCA flew out to right, by the way, Peter Crow Armstrong. All right, a couple other topics before we get out of here today. Chewy Gonzalez, look at that. Hey, Chewy, how'd the Dodger game go last night? Didn't see it. Can you fill me in? Dodgers, how'd they do last night? Ryan Smith's receding hairline just happens to be here. Tanking was a convenient excuse for SEG not to be able to afford a real roster.
We show up.
Smith Entertainment Group. All right. Let me ask you something. Jakey Two Holes over here says to me, hey, if I give you $5,000, would you have another baby? Hell no. I said absolutely not. Well, how much would it take? Way more than $5,000. The cock. So apparently, some country that'll remain nameless is going to be allegedly sending out $5,000 stipends to women to have babies. So if you get pregnant, Donnie's going to send you a check for 5 G's. How much would it take, Jake, for you to start pumping out kids Americans right now? To start making new
light. I don't disagree. I want 5, but
how much will it take for you to start pumping out new U.S. Americans?
Americans.
What's the dollar figure?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans.
Probably. Okay, wait. I asked Chewy Gonzalez how the Dodgers.
What happened?
Do I read this comment?
Well, I can't see it from over here.
The Dodgers choked like Shannon Sharpe's OnlyFans dog collar chick.
Bro, Chewy, bro.
That's on the line,
dude. Bro.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, dude.
You know,
like Shannon's dog collar chick.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Gabriel, 5 million might not be enough. Yeah. So are you in if Donnie sends your girl a check for $5,000?
Yeah.
Is that enough for you to start, fertilizing the lawn?
Not more than I was already planning on. I mean, 5,000 is a good number.
It's
hey, you popped out a kid. Here's a $5,000 check. I think some people will take advantage of it if it becomes reality. I think people are struggling for money.
No, I'm telling you right now, $5,000 is not enough. And if you're one of the people who's like, oh yeah, $5,000, bro, I'm down. You're an idiot. $5,000 doesn't even buy you diapers for a week.
Well, look, not all of us can get Tony Busby to get us money. Okay.
Okay. Listen.
My bad. Sorry.
I am just no. The answer is no. $5,000 is not enough to do it. $5,000 is not enough to do it. I'm telling you right now. I no way. Chewy Gonzalez, if Jake has a baby, can he have the first name be Jim and the middle name be Harbaugh? We could make it happen. But take a hell of a lot more than $5,000. Big Daddy Magic. Jake needs to get little Victors made immediately.
Little Victors.
But again, you guys, I'm telling you, $5,000 is not enough. I think it's a minimum double that. And I'm not talking about like, well, we'll give you a tax deduction. Hell no. I'm going to need Benjis in my bank account. Wire me 10 gur and I will start, I will start making Boston cream pies. Like we'll do that. I am not making babies for $5,000.
You just said you'll start making Boston cream pie.
That's the nicest way I can say it. I'm just not. I'm not doing it. Jay McClanahan, 5K is a good weekend, not a lifetime. A good weekend? Where? You can't even get airfare for that. Gabriel, and we've officially gone off the rails. Love the afternoon shows. Jay McClanahan, Chewy strikes back. He does. Dodgers are up 2-0. Teoscar Hernandez singles to left. Barnes and Conforto score. Ohtani to second. I need Ohtani to score a run here. If I'm going to get bent over by the Cubs, at least let Ohtani win me on prize
going a different direction.
Okay.
I need a ticket.
Really? Gabriel,
Macaque.
Boston, what now? Yeah, Boston 35-26. Any 5K, that's what my cousin wastes in a month on a handful of stuff. Need more like 50K. Do you know how expensive travel ball fees are? You mean 5K? No. I'm sorry. It's not enough.
You don't always have to be negative.
Roche, what about the hospital bills? We doing Medicaid? Obamacare. Okay, too much. Chewy, give me 50K and I'll go to work with the baby batter. Okay.
Dude,
wow.
God.
Wow.
Chewy, you are on one today, bro.
Chewy is on fire. How much would it take? If Donnie's on the phone right now. And he says to you, Jake, I'll send you $5,000. Or you're like, nah, bro, fake news.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I would say for sure. If he was on the phone, I'd be like, no, dude, I would try to get more money out of him.
25?
No, I agree with what people are saying. I would probably start at 50. That's probably where I'd
start. You'd start at 50?
Yeah, I'd probably start at 50, and because it's just so unbelievable. It's not like,
and it's the fact of the matter is, it's not $5,000 in cash. We'll give you a tax deduction for $5,000. No,
cool.
That's not paying for baby formula.
No, it's not.
That's not paying for diapers, baby food. That's not paying.
Yeah,
$5,000. If Donald Trump wants to send out 5Gs to have babies, you're not going to. Do you really think millennials are going to be like, oh, $5,000? Let's have sex. Let's have sex.
Yeah.
Do you really think he's going to be like, oh yeah, $5,000? Time to go smash. No, dude, I'm telling you, that is not nearly enough.
Yes.
That is not nearly enough. Like it's one of those things where, in my opinion, it's got to be 25 at a minimum.
Yeah.
I think it's 25 at a minimum.
100% agree.
Chewy, $5,000 a month has to be the amount. Like for a year, give me 60 gur.
Yeah. See, now that changes the conversation, right? I mean, if you said, hey, we're going to incentivize all women in our country for 5 years, over the next 5 years, if you have a baby, we'll pay you $5,000 a month.
That's a different conversation.
First year of your kid's life. That's a different conversation. Now that's real money, So I think that's, but a singular $5,000 check, I would agree, is probably pretty light.
By the way, I just cashed on Prize Picks because Jaylen Brown's got 2 3-pointers already.
Yeah, who told you?
I told you.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did. That was my idea.
Brown sucks.
That was my idea. Also, it's 5K per child, which is great. But if I have 10 kids, I'm going to need 10 kids to get to 50 gur. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. Yeah,
rough,
I'm
dude.
Staying with a dog. I'm sticking with the dog.
Yeah, that's rough, bro.
Jeremiah, I need it to be last day of school. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Being a school teacher is tough. Hey, real quick, last thing tonight. Do you guys think that the age of the electric car boom is over? Did you see this story that Tesla their profits are off 71% year over year because of weak sales?
And I'd have to verify this, maybe a quick Google search. I'm pretty sure that Chevy is now leading in truck and SUV sales in the US now.
Yes.
Has taken over Ford. So you think about OG cars from our childhood or my childhood, like the Tahoe and those iconic vehicles in American culture. I think people are going back to those.
Yeah, we don't drive cars anymore, but Tesla was a thing. Like Tesla was cool for a while. Tesla was, it was booming. And now I think obviously there's a lot of foot there with politics and Doge, but I do think Americans are less, I don't know if tolerance the word, but less attracted to electric vehicles.
I just think Americans are burned out on the BS of life right now. Like think about just little things in your day to day. Hey, I don't want to have, it was a huge pain in the ass when we were in Phoenix, and we had rented an electric car. The whole charging situation, if you don't have a charger at your house, is brutal, bro.
Well, if you own one, you're absolutely investing in a charger. But if you want to drive across the country, we rented an electric car in Phoenix for spring training. Dude, it's tough to get it charged. We went to Topgolf, plugged it into the wrong charger. It was not a supercharger, it was a drip charger. So we got essentially no battery in 2.5 hours of charging. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even know that was a thing. So
I was never on the electric car thing. That was never my deal.
No, you're more of you're an exhaust guy. You're a motor guy.
But I can even appreciate just a nice SUV. I never bought into the hype that it's just miles better for the environment and there's no downsides. And that's just not true. And I think that, I'm an enthusiast. I enjoy driving my cars, man. I enjoy being able to modify them a little bit. I'm not I do, but that doesn't mean that we're just going to get to a place where everything's perfect with electric cars. I've always maintained that if I could treat my electric car similarly to the way I treated my gas-powered car, where I had ease of use to go recharge the battery in 5 minutes, like I can with my gas tank, we would be having a completely different discussion, because the driving attributes of electric cars are not terrible. They drive just fine. They're smooth. They're quiet. I imagine a nice electric vehicle probably treats you the same way as a nice gas-powered vehicle.
Yeah.
But the reality is we don't have that kind of infrastructure, and no, we don't really embrace it. I like driving V8s. I like turbochargers. I like having fun. I do. So,
I more think Tesla's bigger problem, I think, is very much related to Doge and Elon Musk's bad PR, his politics. I think that's what it is. But for me, yeah, man, I have a V8 right now. And I have a Hemi V8 right now. And I love it.
That's awesome, bro.
I love it. It's all-wheel drive. I have a Hemi V8 and a twin-turbo V6. And if you ask me if I could only pick one of those motors, I'm probably taking the V8. Now, I'm a huge German car fan, and who knows what's going on with Audi, because that brand is falling apart.
Allegedly, they're moving production stateside, but that's allegedly.
Audi's a mess. But as a fan of the Beamer, I'm a huge fan of BMW. I want the Hemi V8 over the twin-turbo V6.
Mm-hmm.
I love my Beamer, and technically it's my wife's Beamer, but I have a Grand Cherokee Summit with a V8. I love it. I can take it anywhere. I can road trip it. It's just.
And you never have to think twice about whether you can go somewhere.
Yeah. Jeremiah Champion, I don't think it's an electric car issue. I think it's a Tesla issue. I'm not sure the same could be said for Ford and GM's electric vehicles. Well, they're just not very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, if I'm going electric, I'm probably going Toyota Lexus. I mean, I think they're the standard, right? No, Teslas are fun to drive, right? But they drive very similarly to all top-end electrics. There's not a discernible. I've driven a Tesla. I don't think there's a discernible difference. I truly do not. I think it will rebound. I'm 90% sure my next car will be a Tesla Model 3.
Well, what happened to your Honda?
Yeah. What happened to your Honda, man? No more bumper sticker or what? Gabriel, Elon thinks the world is his playland and it's costing him. Him buying Twitter is currently being his downfall from success.
Totally agree.
Elon, they called his bluff. I hate that he bought Twitter, and I hate what it's become. I rarely use it. Rarely use it. Jay, Tesla, real money isn't cars. It's bots, the future for them. Oh, I agree with that. Automation's huge. Chewy, well, Monty, look what's happening. People are keying them because they're pissed. Like, yeah, can we stop defacing, like, cars and
dealerships and
like, do you understand how important people's cars are to them, and you destroying people's cars because you hate Elon is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that's not who we are. This issue is a range of anxiety in finding charging stations. Well,
I think that's a really interesting point you just said, though, right? Is that not also another issue for, like, if you have a Tesla, are you not trying to get out of it right now? Is that also?
Oh, everybody's trying to, because they're not worth anything anymore.
Yeah. So I think that's also the other side of it, whether you're fearful that your car's going to get keyed or, scraped or whatever, like you're not trying to deal with that,
Yeah. If there was an affordable EV with 700-mile range, I'm all in. Me too.
Which there never has been.
And I'm not sure we'll ever be able to afford it. Nacho Libre, there's nothing like the sound of a gas engine vehicle. Making it a man thing, but I love it. Maybe it's a man thing, but I love it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts. I totally agree with that. Matt Ritson got new Tucson Hyundai hybrid last year.
See,
and
now hybrids are a different conversation.
Hybrids are very different.
Different conversation.
How many young millennials are driving around in a RAV4 hybrid?
Yeah, dude. I am all for hybrids. I love them. I think it's the perfect balance. I think you want to talk about getting great gas mileage, dude, you put a good set of tires on a hybrid, you'll do 40, 50 miles a gallon all day long. All day long, no problem about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a matter of time. I would hope at some point EV technology becomes affordable. Chewy says, I have a 4Runner. I love it. It's reliable, and I am turning it into an Overlander. Nice,
dude.
Nice. Also, states like California are now relaxing on carbon dioxide emission regulations. We'll see how long that lasts, though. I mean, there's got to be a happy medium.
Yes.
There's a reason that hybrids do so well. Watch for the Q2 report, Monty. It's going to be interesting. Tesla's Q2 report, I think you mean. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. Just got my new Ford Bronco and love it. Aren't they stopping production on those? They're not going to make that anymore. Yeah, I think they're not going to make it anymore. I rented a Tesla Model Y and it does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. It was so much fun. Well, that's the thing with electrics. They really perform.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, yeah, it's a flex. They really, really perform. No doubt about it. All right, there you go. Good show as usual. Big show tomorrow. We need to raise $600 tomorrow for the advocates in children's hunger. Big day. NFL draft. Lots to talk about around the draft.
Yeah,
lots
don't
to
miss
talk
tomorrow's
around.
show. It's going to have a lot of fun with
Yeah,
that
tomorrow's going to be a huge day. We're going to give away 2 $100 Amazon gift cards tomorrow. Love it. Check it out. Advocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.